will see you tomorrow. The same bat time, same bat channel. Shout out to you, Bears vs. Bulls, for everything you do. Hope you've been killing it today. Hope everyone's been printing today, as we always say over here. But right now, we're going to go print our way over to Sharif on the green screen. See you guys tomorrow.
Welcome to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every day. Obi and Neil, they're locked, they're loaded, they're ready to take the names as decided by you. So join Adira and I on the How to Trade Midday Show and get into that chat. Vote, join, talk up a storm. Make sure you're voting every day or we won't look at the names as selected by you. Let's start off with the overall market. We have two different overall markets to look at. The triple Qs and the SPY. The SPY as selected by you guys. The Qs outperforming the SPY today. Hasn't been that way every day, especially with this recent move of tech weakness. The triple Qs up right now about 3%. The SPY about 2 1/5. But it's been a good participation from the Mag 7 today. Most of them nearing day's highs right now. But guys, we really haven't broken some of those tops on the Mag 7 names.
Haven't we, though? Haven't we really? So, okay, that's a matter of perspective whether we've broken some of those highs on Mag 7 names. Because I would venture to say, let's zoom out. Apple is through 213, the triple top. It's broken yesterday's high, although it's pulling back now. I tried on a dip back into that range. I would venture to say that Nvidia continues to trend higher. That's broken through in a big way. It's not necessarily going to be across the board, over the top bullish. Like Microsoft would be an example of something that's it's pushing a lower high as the NASDAQ's getting into resistance. But come on, like what more can you add? Like the NASDAQ's up 3% today. Are we really going to nitpick about the strength on a day that the NASDAQ is up 3%? I'm good. Like Intel's up 5.5% today. We're not nitpicking how good this looks in the overall market. All that said, let's talk a little bit about the SPY here as we come on over to the ye old daily chart, because I think it's easier to maybe tell the story when you look at the daily. Where are we trying to bounce on the SPY? Look at that little support from the end of May. And then look at it on the 15-minute. So yesterday's low to yesterday's high. So to your point, Sharif, about where we haven't quite gone yet, not everything is breaking out. So Apple did its best to do a little bit of carrying. At one point, Tesla was carrying at one point. Nvidia's done some of the heavy lifting. But things like Microsoft have yet to join the party, and that's the reason you're not through yesterday's tops. And if we were to get there, also look at that as a close from last week on Friday. So Friday's close, yesterday's highs. As long as we're underneath that, there's probably going to be some short setups. I mean, Intel 20, which might take out a local high again, because that's what it does. So that could be a 5-cent hit. We'll see. But you got these local highs. Now, there's going to be some opportunities, I would think, for a reversion off of that high. But let's be real. It's been an unbelievable day for these markets. It's been a market green day. I just heard in my ear, Cassava Sciences is making some moves. Hey man, everything the little volume spike there on Cassava Sciences. The reason why I didn't hear the news on it, but yeah, big volume spike on Cassava Sciences, another V-shaped recovery. Only moving $1 off that bottom here just now when it already moved $6 from the bottom earlier. Volatility's back, Obi. Oh yeah, definitely volatility both ways. Yesterday all day we sell off. Today, after our lows, 514s on the spider. And then climbing all the way back up to prior day's highs, 531 halves. Jeez. We're only about a point away. You're talking about how, let's see how in the morning session and in the pre-market with the bid that caught off of that jobs number this morning. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's see if we get a little bit of reversion. We did sell off aggressively yesterday, and that same kind of aggression comes in with the buying today, the buying stepping right back in, and pretty much like we are back to almost green on the week, right? Well, we are green on the week. We opened up Monday right here, so we're talking about yesterday almost threatening that red and then ripping right back up, getting bid up again. That bit of a gap fill, right, Neil? The gap down that happened over the weekend. We did a little bit of a wash and we wiped it right back up
on that. And if you look at some of these equities, some of the Mag 7s, a lot of them doing very similar things. We were here when you guys left around that 18.4. We're up another 140 points on the NASDAQ here, printing above 18.5 right now. Nvidia is strong. The Spider is strong. Apple is strong. Amazon is strong. Google's been kind of sideways for most of the day. And yeah, I guess a lot of the Mag 7s just trending up, causing this market to pop back up today.
No real headline today for Nvidia, but definitely catching a beautiful bounce, almost 6.5% in the green now after the delays with the Blackwell chip. We got that information last week. That's now going to be in 2025 as opposed to the late 2024 headline that we heard. 6 1/3 now. OB mentioning it's strong. What's the look, guys?
Yes, Nvidia.
That's, I mean, the look is
all the way
it's
up.
doing this. Oh, that's got sound too. It's so weird. Like some of these effects, like I didn't even know there was a sound effect that went with it because now they're a little bit louder, so I actually hear that. Look, obviously this morning and in the afternoon yesterday, we talked about 101.5 into 102 as a resistance zone to look out for today. So when things started out today, that's exactly what we got. We got a sell here. Right as it failed the 102 level, it kind of popped at 101, then broke down. There wasn't anything, like there's nothing. Like there was a bid that showed at 101 early, and then there was nothing until 98. Now, I actually tried a short breaking down through the bottom. So I was out of a short, then back into one that was a flat trade. I tried shorting at VWAP for a tight stop. I tried shorting at 101 for a tight stop. I then came back and shorted at 102, was able to scalp out 50 cents, and then that stopped out. Then another couple of tight stop shorts. And again, just trying to keep it simple, but really, it doesn't matter whether you limit, not bad, limit the hit. It just turned into this big, long trend into the upside. Now, granted, I think when we talked about looking for longs this morning, I did this in the lesson of the day. I like those continuation plays. I just preferred Shopify today for the long, and I guess we'll get to that. Well, maybe we won't even get to that, but I just preferred Shopify for the long, and that's not an excuse. It's just the truth. And I didn't even hold on to Shopify. Like that one's still going after breaking out after 67.5. So Nvidia, an absolute runner, but it was not alone. I just typed Nvidia when I meant to go over another chip name. AMD in its own right. Look at AMD to the upside. Wipeout bottom, breakout top, holds the line at 134, continuing higher and higher and higher. So again, it's one of those days you always try to be as vigilant as you can. We'll get to Tesla in a quick second, but Tesla just wicked the 200 level. So false break of 200, pulling back in here a little bit. I'd love to see this hold a consolidation, maybe trap a few shorts, and then take it a second time, Tesla. Take it that second time through and then burn people. So look, Nvidia thankfully was able to get away from that short, but what a strong stock it is, and Tesla trying to break 200 as we speak.
Yeah, Nvidia, what a wild ride, man. We had that in the morning session, 102 resistance, a little bit of an interesting level there. Gets all the way down to 97s and change. Strong bid comes in right in front of pre-market lows, 97.30s. We can't even get there, and aggressive bidding kind of comes back in. And yeah, the short definitely did not work as I tried it and kind of gave back pretty much everything that we did in the morning, or I did in the morning, and more as it broke out into that 103, and it continues to go back up 105s. But yeah, I had to respect this right here, that VWAP hold, that VWAP reclaim. Look at this consolidation right here. A bit of reserves that were happening in the 101.50s, which I also did not respect. I was like, all right, well, we can just cut through those reserves. Finally, we're getting a reversion back to VWAP. Nope. We hold that, we pop even higher. Now we can look at this consolidation, that hold of these highs at those 103s, and we're trading at 105s right now. Nvidia, super, super strong on the day. Only about a few more points away from prior days levels here. So I do have some of these lines here, but look at that. 108.87. So we just saw the spider. The spider is pretty much 1 point away from prior day's highs. Nvidia about 4 points, three and some change away from its prior day highs right there, where we sold off aggressively for majority of the day yesterday, pretty much seeing a very strong reversal move right here. So we talk about a 30% reversion, a 50% reversion, sometimes even a 100% reversion. Take a look at this. Into the close, we do about 9 points into the close. Off of the open, off of that dip into pre-market levels and prior days, we've done about 7 and some change, 7.5. So over a 70% reversion happening when compared to prior days price action here on Nvidia. That bid is definitely catching strong. Let's see if this market continues into the close and maybe mirrors yesterday's action where we closed at low a day. Let's see if we close at high a day today. I'm curious.
4.5% right now for super microcomputer SMCI, an earnings loser from earlier in the week. They guided weak end. Their EPS, their profitability narrowed a little bit, and that caused Michael Ng of Goldman Sachs, the analyst covering super microcomputer, to maintain the neutral rating, but to drop the price target, guys, $100 from $7.75 to $6.75. Keep in mind, this one's set up for a 10-to-1 split for retail involvement, guys.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And the only thing that hasn't happened yet on SMCI is a retest of where that selling was, or where that selling came in yesterday. I'll get to that in a second, but on a higher time frame, I think it was pointed out by Obi yesterday when we zoomed out the chart really, really far. If you go all the way back to the beginning of the year, when this broke out on volume, that was right here, January 19th, it broke out at about $360. The next day, it made this retracement top at just call it for the high 480s. It doesn't really matter. It's more of a target area than anything else. You can then see it hang around there with resistance for a few days and then break it out again, find some support at that same level. So what do you think happened when we dipped into that price? That's where the bottom ended up being, right around that 480. Never really, it's not, until it splits, you know, you're not going to have it be tight to like a $1 level the way it trades, but certainly within $5, that's what happened. And it caught all kinds of support this morning. Unlike some of the other names which broke down underneath bottoms, this just held the low at 480 before going. And hindsight always being 20/20. I mean, you think about a name like this being short sell restricted day 2. This was probably I'm going to show you something later in the show of what I actually think was the easiest trade today. And it's not a stock that a single person has talked about today. But outside of that, for an SSR bounce, right at 480, this did it a few times and then rallied. The only thing, as I said, that hasn't happened with SMCI yet, Tesla still won't retake that 200, is this. It was right around here at about 538, where there was a bunch of selling that it looked like higher lows into a turn, and it just gave it up. That's the point that I got out of my long. So forget about up here, but that 538 area, if it gets tested again, I could think there might be a bit of a turn on SMCI. I don't know that it has the strength. When I see Nvidia pressing highs and the NASDAQ pressing highs and so many other things pressing highs, and it's just chilling at the lower high, I don't know if it gets up to that zone, but that's what I'd be watching today for SMCI.
Yeah, a bit of a reversion happening into those earnings day 1 pre-market consolidation lows. You can see that nice little sideways consolidation after a strong reaction going both ways on SMCI, rips up to 729 and then slams right back in, printing some fresh lows here on the week. Off of earnings yesterday, sold off aggressively with the rest of the market, kind of making a little bit of a base in the after hours and in the pre-market at this 480 level, 478.50 I have as the low a day. A little bit of a wick action. You grab the low here on the second 15-minute candle, and then you hold that base only to break this kind of downtrend for a full-on reversion over 100% of the opening range, back to the highs, and about over 50% of yesterday's flush as well, printing a high a day of 528. Let's see if this kind of continues, but take a look at this, man. A little bit of a break in this trend that's been happening. Look at that. That's absolutely beautiful. You know, look at that. Look at that reversion that kind of came in. 520s, yeah, it pulls into 510s. Nice little scalp action off of that trend break.
But it didn't go enough. Like,
no,
to
it
me,
didn't. I mean, it didn't even get down to VWAP, right? So it's like the bid is definitely there. Like it's
not quite
holding her
enough.
up.
Not quite enough.
Today, Tesla no different, 4 1/3 right now in the green. This headline came in this morning. Tesla delivered, or exported, I should say, 27,890 Chinese-made vehicles. We know that they export the Model Y and the Model 3 to Europe out of China, out of the Shanghai facility, not necessarily the X and the S, guys. Good look today for Tesla, but still knocking on the door of that 200.
Just broke. So very quickly, the 200 level just broke out here. Quick plan of action. I think we mentioned this in the morning show. There's all this chop resistance that you've got, 200 to the 201 zone. So immediately scalp out some here into that chop. Because if it can't clear 01, like if it does clear 01, plenty of room to 03, right? But if it can't clear 01, this could easily be a pullback into 99, which if you're holding 200s and resistance is at 01, holding a 200 to 99 doesn't make any sense. Go get yourself a better price. So that's the reason for the scalp out. Earlier today, it was a join it late when it double top broke and scalp into first this area here. And once it broke 197.5, and then this double top got taken out at 198, I just simply trailed it back underneath the $0.50, which it never triggered after the break, and then you get up into that 200 test where I got out. Probably missed a chance, maybe missed a chance at VWAP. I don't remember why I wanted even 196 instead of just back into VWAP, but it is what it is. Now it's going through that 200 zone, and I do want to address Lumen. Someone just said Lumen, a long position, is going to get wrecked. Entirely possible. I've gotten out almost all of this. I'm essentially holding on to 10% of the position as long as it holds $5. It hasn't quite gotten to VWAP. I was able to get a bunch out in the 20s and then again in the 20s and then kind of double tap that 540 level. So it's already given a good bounce here. I think a decent one considering it was a $5 move. But if it loses $5, I'm not holding on to that position. The story right now is Tesla on the march to that 200. And one more thing about this level on Tesla. Overhead resistance is that 204. That's the 200 period moving average on the daily, and you can very clearly see it here on a 15-minute chart. Like you start to get up to 03 and 04, that's obvious resistance, but there's plenty of room. If the market takes out these highs and Tesla wants to go, it's still got a couple of dollars until that spot that I would see. I mean, I kind of think it's a short up there, but you always cross that bridge when we get there. That's still 1.5 points away.
Yeah, nice long on that 200 rebreak, Neil. Just looking at a 3-hour chart here on Tesla, just to see where we are and see the lay of the land here on this trend back down. 271s was the high on this breakout of that 200. We talk about that multi-frame trend resistance here with those highs all the way from 2021. Right? Yeah, what was it? February? Yeah, November 2021. You can see that we've been holding that resistance over many years, a few years. And then we finally kind of break out and you get that aggressive push into that 271s and take a look at where we come right back down to. So you gap down on Monday, you rebid, kind of attempting to push into that same kind of area here. Maybe some anchors coming in as well. If you look horizontally, prior, I guess, what is this, April earnings, post earnings high right there, just shy of that 200 is at 199, and we're kind of chopping and consolidating in and around that 200 level, which seems to be a little interesting as of right now. But yeah, those dips got a little bought up earlier on this week. The week low right now from that session is 182, and we've traded over 18 points above back through that 200.
All 11 sectors right now of the S&P are green without exception. It's been a very aggressive day to the high side today. Good day for the longs. Last on the list here, Palantir reported earlier this week, and it was a very good report. We've been talking about this $30 level for a long time to get breached. We're very close to it right now, up over 11%. As a result of this headline over here, them and Microsoft are going to do business together with AI, with the AIP system from Palantir and Azure Cloud from Microsoft. The first time that this is actually being used to house classified information. We'll have to see how they do, but the market loving this headline, guys.
A little bit. 11% would suggest that the market likes it. A little bit, just a teensy tiny little bit, as it goes right back into some highs on Palantir on the daily. So there is your liquidity grab into the 200 period moving average. And since then, it has been flying to the upside. Now, I'm guilty of two things on Palantir. The first one is observing trend line and then getting in before, like this is me getting into the pullback before it breaks the trend, because it pulls back a little bit and I'm like, well, I'm going to get out in front of this short. Then it actually breaks the trend line here down and I wait for the retest. So this is the good entry. That's the bad entry. So I get into it bad, then add to it good, and then get completely bailed out by the market. So that's not even, that's a horrible, 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 horrible entry. Then a good entry, and then bail out by the market, right into previous support. Let's go. And then, of course, what do? I short it again. So then I'm flat, which makes me flat on the stock because I did it twice. So I go 1 for 4 on Palantir when it bailed me out, and I could have just left it alone at that point. And really, I think the best way to look at it would be this. This is the trend line I'm observing. So if I throw this out and don't make that trade, I make this trade here, which is the one that should have only happened. It goes 70, down into the 30s, good return on Palantir. Once it bounces off of yesterday's high and goes that parabolic, forget about not reloading. Now look at that. Now look at this trend from before. The one that broke, it goes right in and does not even make a turn till it retests it way up here at 29.40. So that's when we talk about being patient as a trader. This is the perfect example. I can show you every part of this trade about why you need to be patient. This is a lack of patience that could have been, if it doesn't make this breakdown, eventually breaking the trend, then I'm just losing big there. Then you actually are patient, get every bit of your shares in right here, and then when it bounces, get them all out when it starts going. That's patience. Patience then on the other side to not short that, wait for it to actually rub right into the top, then short it here, and even then you only get a scalp trade right back another point at 29. That's what patience means in the market. And it's not an easy thing to do, man. I was so completely, and you always convince yourself of this, it's going to pull back in, at least retest that prior high. I was right about that, but the timing was unnecessary. If you look at the pullback yesterday, I was even saying this to Obi, when it started to get in front of that post-earnings high on Palantir, this was an hour and a half that it just tested and tested and tested before it broke down. And when it goes down, you don't even have to be early when it goes down. You could just not have anything up at the top and then short it down here or short it when it breaks VWAP and it's just as good. The whole notion of catching the bottom or catching the top a lot of times is your ego talking. Like it's that ego of, I got the top, I was convinced it was going to go down, or I got the bottom, I was convinced it was going to go up from there. And it's 100% just our egos wanting to be that right. But ultimately, getting it in better, like if this goes right away and it flushes, that's great. But it's not right. Getting it in better or getting it in good is more important than getting the hero trade, in my humble opinion. And I think the best thing about this trade is that it shows everything you need to know about being patient with a setup, because I'm into it multiple times before it breaks down. And then you see the difference between the moment, like look at the moment. I'm sorry for repeating this over and over, but it matters. The moment it then breaks that trend, I could go in here or I could wait for it to try to retest, look at it, try to retest, and then that's the entry. That's the confirmation. And that's what patience is all about. So again, not to over harp on that, but I just feel like there's so much that can be learned when you try to make a trade like this, and you have to really be a sniper to get it because you're going against the grain. Wait for it. Don't false start. Speaking of which, please no track spoilers. I'm watching it. I'm watching it tonight on delay. I'm a huge Olympics and track and field fan, and I know people are going to be eager when something crazy happens to post it, but please don't. I'd love to be able to not know what's going to happen in some of the awesome races that are going to go on. But be patient. Don't jump the gun when you're going counter trend.
He's a track star.
I was no track star.
Palantir. We talk about this ticker off the open there. We defined a little bit of a range off of earnings day 1, day 2. We clipped the range a couple of times there. I think Neil was looking at this earnings reaction high up in the 2880s. I was also looking at this consolidation range here, just in the 2830s, and take a look at that. We broke out of the range. I was asking myself and you guys, I was like, okay, well, we either play within the range or we play a range break, and that range definitely did break. Regardless of which level you were looking at, that strength really coming in, and again, that tailwind definitely helping that out. 2937 is the high of day right now. Looking back at it, let's see if we can see some levels here where the next bus stop or the pit stop might be for this ticker here. So right there, some prior highs right there from mid-July, July 18th and July 19th right there at 29.60s and then 29.80s as well. We're only about 50, 60 pennies away from those levels with this crazy strength. Where will Palantir stop? I have no idea, but this bid is absolutely crazy. Again, bid off of the open. You're holding that earnings anchored as well. You see this blue line? That's earnings anchored. That's anchored to Monday's report right there. And then you get that. You get a pre-market high break. You get an opening range break. You get a multi 2-day earnings day 1, day 2 range break. You get a pullback that sustains the halves and then rips even higher. Now let's see if we can get through some of these prior resistance levels. 29.83 is that prior high here, the most recent one on Palantir. So let's see if that strength kind of comes in to this ticker post earnings bid apparently.
I absolutely love the chat. I just saw Roarin in the chat. Roarin in the 20s. You ran a 10.9 in the 100 and got yourself a football scholarship. No word of a lie. I ran track in university at 152 pounds soaking wet. And when in grade 9, when I tried out for the football team in high school, the first thing they did is they line up and they run 40s. And there was our junior running back was just an absolute beast. And he and I tied for the fastest 40 time. And then the coach is like, you made the team. I was 135 pounds. Yeah. And I went home that day and I go to my mom, I'm like, Moms, I made the football team. And she looked me, and this is 100% true. I walk in the door, I'm like, how's your day? I made the football team today. And she looked me dead in the eye and said, no, you didn't. And that was the end of my football career. Right then and there. And you know what? I don't regret it one bit. I would have gotten my butt kicked. I was so tiny, I couldn't take a hit. I was kind of shifty, but believe me, I would have been rocked. They'd be working with running backs at 135 pounds, and I love track and field, but I love to run. Apple just gave up the bid a little bit. I'm going to be going back over to Tesla here. Apple just lost 213.5 and is pulling back into 213 as the market's coming in, and Tesla is pulling back into the $200 level as we speak. So let me zoom in Tesla so you get a better, we're not even on my chart. Can we come to the chart for a second? Sorry, guys, you guys didn't see the Apple chart. Okay, let me do this. Apple did this move back into the downside, so I went back over to Tesla. Tesla, if it can't hold it, there it goes, doesn't hold on to 200, so I'm out. Not going to fight this if we're pulling back off those NASDAQ highs. Also, Lumen, which we were holding on to the last percentage of, just to show you here, there's the $5 breakdown, so I'm now out of Lumen. Not sure I want to flip short, but Apple's now really starting to sell. I think it's just technical. The market got to that high and is pulling back. What is lagging this move to the downside? Let me just go back over to Intel. 2025 on Intel.
Apple is a bit of a laggard here, still holding within its sideways range that it's been doing for about an hour. So if that cracks as well, maybe we get some more selling pressure. But Apple above VWAP as well. And Nvidia kind of taking a little bit of a pullback as well. But take a look at this, man. I don't want to get. I already fought the short against a lot of I guess what the chart and the price action was telling me. I was definitely tilted, and Neil was talking about a little bit of ego, and I'm starting to realize a little more. How do I word this? I'm lost for words. I got to get better at managing my emotions a little more than I am managing my positions right now, is what I'm trying to get at. Anyways, here with while I was fighting that trend. But take a look at this. little bit of a hold of those of these dips down on Nvidia. We still got lots of room to go down. 104s can come in, and this will still stay within trend here on Nvidia. Let's see if Apple gets a bit up as well. I got Apple on watch because I was like, all right, well, finally breaking that 213, 213.60s, 213.80s Monday's high. We only get a little bit past that 214, and we're pulling right back in. Let's see if VWAP can come in here, 212s and some change on VWAP. But I was telling Sharif this as well because he's like, oh, well, Apple's coming down. Look at this opening range high, right? Opening range high just in this 213 area. And that prior little bit of a pullback up on that V shape stops in and around that 213. And we're kind of coming right into that 213 as of right now. So let's see if some of that resistance turns into support on the way back down. Oscarito saying, you seem like you don't have emotions. Well, I don't know. Sometimes that is the ideal scenario to trade with. Well, I'll be honest. You got to be a little stone cold. But you know what? It is when you let your emotions get the best of you that the trading can go a little bit awry. So I'm sure. He's back.
I'm just shaking my head at Randy. That's all I'm
Rubber
saying.
band, man.
I'm just shaking my head at Randy. If you were watching the midday show, by the way, Intel turned at yesterday's highs, which was 2025, actually 2022 today, 2025 yesterday. I'm shorting that, giving it to that level. If the Qs are turning, then that's at a level I like. The other thing is Nvidia pulls right back into prior highs and catches a bid. So if we're going to consolidate for another run higher, Tesla, Nvidia, I prefer Tesla and Nvidia if we're going to consolidate for another leg higher. Those are the ones that I want to look at for some long bounces. But yeah, if you're watching the midday show, I caught a little friendly fire with that, that battle of rubber bands. I tried to be nice. I did. Randy fired at Sharif. He missed once. I took that rubber band, and after he hit Sharif, I then gave that rubber band to Sharif gently, and then he proceeded to catch me with a headshot. So that
it was right in the temple.
It was like I was sitting right here.
I almost had to give Neil some CPR.
I was
doing chest compressions.
I was like this in a trade, and then all of a sudden, boom, right headshot. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I was just trying to do the right thing. Shout out to Spike Lee.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I see people in the chat talking about again, reflecting on what I said about the emotions. Yeah, thank you. But that's like ideal. That's the ideal scenario, right? Ideal scenario. But at the end of the day, we're all human. We get into our feels. We kind of get into our own heads at times, and over time, yeah, that's part of becoming a better trader is to become better with managing your emotions, managing the tilt. Again, tilt being one of the trader's worst enemies is yourself, and sometimes that comes, I guess, manifests in the form of tilt and lack of emotional control. And you know what? You get better at those just the same way you kind of get better at get stronger with your playbooks, right? You put in the reps, meaningful reps for trying to get better, and hopefully you make some progress in that. And I'm still kind of way early in that journey of trying to get around that. Never will be perfect, but try to get a little bit better. 1% every day is the goal, right? So that's what it is. That's the focus. But yeah, let's see. Where is the next trade is what I'm asking myself right now. That Palantir, a little bit of a pullback as well. Hasn't necessarily broken trend just yet. I'm looking for that confirmation through the market trend break as well. Let's see if that 18 halves, I think if we give up those 18 halves, I'm going to start looking for potential tickers to revert back down as we have had a strong bid across the board. Like I'm looking at Intel, man. Intel, the one ticker that was selling off and was disconnected while the market was doing things. Intel is also following back on. So is the bid back on?
14, and it's right back trying to retest those highs. I just saw in the chat, and I don't think this is true, but someone in the chat just said GameStop is halted. I don't believe it is. So I'm just going to pull it up and show to you that it is not. Just because the stock isn't moving much doesn't actually mean that it's halted. So, it's still actively trading here. It's not even moving that much. Just be very careful. A lot of times, like if you sit there like, oh, the stock's not going anywhere, it's going to be halted. And now all of a sudden people are putting Snapchat in the chat. No. Oh, that's at $9 Snapchat. That's why. I'm assuming you just pulled, or I saw a couple of times in the chat there, Snapchat. I assume it's because it's at the $9 level, which we know from 2 days ago was all kinds of resistance into, yeah, that happened. And I said this at the time, that day, that same high, which was so good for a short, the day after, it lost it at 9:30 and was probably one of the easier flat bottom breaks you'll ever see. Oh, I promised to show you guys a chart of what, I didn't trade this, full disclosure, but yesterday about this time, I told you that Sun Power is being deleted today.
Yes.
And that it's going bankrupt.
Ooh.
And I can't, this spoiler alert, this is what it looked like. I can't zoom it out, so it gives it away what happened. This is yesterday's low. To last 2 days, the bottom. This is the range it had in the afternoon. I'm going to zoom it in so you can see this. And I sent this to our floor manager as well. This is the range in the afternoon. That is 40.5 cents. The bottom is 35 cents. This was it at 9:30 with a 35-cent bottom and a 40-cent top. Deleting today, going bankrupt, and a penny stock. It then proceeded to drop, and then look what happens after that structured trade works. Then go to VWAP. This is it at VWAP. So you like a VWAP retrace? That's it at VWAP once. That's it at VWAP twice. And this is what it's doing. Now, shorting it at the bottom just because it happens to be a delete, I think is a recipe for success. But if I can find some kind of a level where it can do this, I'm going to take a shot in the afternoon, I think short. But again, sometimes it's low-hanging fruit. There's nothing wrong with that huge flush at the open on Nvidia or the breakouts on Tesla and all the other things that we look at. But if you can find me a more simplistic setup than this one, knowing the company is going bankrupt and being deleted, let me know. And locates were very cheap here at Real Trading. Anybody at Real Trading could have shorted the stock for dirt cheap. So it is what it is. I'm mad at myself for having even said this. And again, this reason I say this is to hold myself accountable, because I was blabbing about this trade yesterday, and then I was even saying it. I paid for locates this morning. At like 8 o'clock in the morning, I paid for locates on this stock. And I don't have a single print to my name. And I traded a bunch of other stuff short. But it is what it is. You got to be able to move on. So as we move on, Nvidia, which is going, pulls right back into this consolidation. If it can hold on the second time, I want to take a shot. Okay, I tried to get it on the way up there, but I didn't get it on the way up. So now it's on the way down. And this matters. It bounces off this level. I'm trying to catch it on the way back up somewhere in here off of that support. I don't get the fill. So if it retests that level, look for another bounce off 104.5. If it does, go long on the way back up is the plan here on Nvidia, or just find some kind of a breakout, because I'm still thinking if we take the top off, Nvidia is the one. If we curl, I like Intel, and I'm looking for something else that might be weaker that's worthy of a short here, Obi, if we do a fade off this high. I'd rather not short something that is at these tops. While we're at the top, if I can short something that's got a lower high, that would be ideal.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Definitely a little bit better on that one. But yeah, that Sun Power chart, that's absolutely crazy, man. Like just falling apart. Sun Power running out of fusion reactions for their energy, apparently, so getting closed down, shut down, it sounded a little better in my head. I'm just like, Sun Power, fusion reactions. Anyways, 18.5.
It's not bad.
Still holding as of right now. But yeah, you're definitely right. I'm looking for lower highs, but it seems like there's no real lower highs here. If you guys see lower highs on anything, let us know. We can take a look at that. Apple with a little bit of a curl here happening. I'm watching Apple into that 213s, but look at that. We're just coming right back into those opening range highs. Like I said earlier, we're still holding that 213 as of right now. Let's see if we can give up this 18.5 into the end of the day. We only have about an hour and 22 minutes left until the closing bell. And yeah, nothing too crazy there. So Sunny's trending, saying that, Obi shorted Nvidia in the morning. Yeah, shorted it off the open, flip along at the 98, and then got short from 101s to 103s, which was not the best.
I mean, Tesla looks kind of weak.
Still trending up strong on the day here across the board are all these tickers, but Alphabet might be the one, Neil. It has made a lower high. You know what? Let me pull it up.
Microsoft has as well.
Microsoft, yeah, Softy has made a lower high as well, just by a little bit, just by about 30, 40 pennies as of right now. But if you want to take that one, you got to give it just over a point of risk if you're trying to risk that prior high on that one. But take a look at this bid back up on the Nvidia, and this is what we're talking about on Softy. Let's go down to a 3-minute so we can see it a little bit better here. Sideways chop, sideways consolidation. We come right into that 405 halves again. And if you're shorting down here, I think the real risk is either above high a day or above prior high. Maybe you want to take this wick high as well, but you can even take a prior bar if you're really trying to keep it tight and aggressive there. But a little bit of a sideways range here on the Softy. Nothing too crazy. I'm looking at OKP John in the chat saying MSTR lower high. Yeah, we were looking at MSTR. Yeah, my muscle memory with the M always goes to MSFT. All right, so yeah, look at this strong flush that we had. Neil and I were sitting here during the midday and we were like, yo, what the hell just happened to MSTR? This thing is tanking. What did Bitcoin do? Bitcoin really didn't do much other than do a little bit of a rejection off that 60 thou mark. And then MSTR goes from 136 all the way down to 128 in the span of 27 minutes. That's absolutely wild. So definitely some selling pressure coming in on this ticker. As of yesterday, we sold off aggressively. We split 10-1 today, and we're chopping up sideways right now in a bit of a range, looking kind of similar to that Softy chart as well. Softy pulling back aggressively into that VWAP. Apple gave up that 213. Are we giving up that 18.5? Yes, we are, Neil. Can we get down to VWAP on Apple? Let's see.
You're like I'm taking a break on Alphabet here. When I was scanning all of those names, the tightest range was Alphabet, and I just saw I saw that wick on Apple that I'm pretty sure anybody looking at Apple just saw. Do I have that chart up? There we go. Yeah, I have Apple up. So I saw Apple break down. I'm like, what is in a tight range that just broke it? And it was this with about 162.95 as a local bottom. And then that broke down. So I just hit Google. And if it's going to get to VWAP, like if we're really retracing big time back into VWAP, and this is going to be a high off of yesterday's top on the NASDAQ, then I can easily just risk right back into the top of this range, 163.16. That's 35 cents worth of risk. And really, I left myself room to add to it if we get back to the evens and get even a better price. And then you've got $1 at least from the consolidation range into VWAP here. So that's the plan if Apple is taking it slower, not to necessarily hit Apple down here. And then Intel's basically where it was before. It's not a big deal in terms of that pullback. But what I wanted to what I wanted to show on the NASDAQ, what we're getting at, as the NASDAQ goes right in, takes yesterday's high and starts to pull back. If this is a big rejection of yesterday's highs, then was looking for something that was already off of its own highs. So it's relatively weak. And I like the notion that, relatively speaking, they already started selling this, they being whomever is trading it, before we got to that high. So looking for some bets to the south side here. Not much is holding up in that last move down, but I'd like to see VWAP here on Alphabet. I know we're going to have, in a couple of minutes, I believe, we're going to have Ryan Faloona join us from Benzing again. I'd love to hear his thoughts on this crazy market. Oh, yeah. Can't wait at all. I think it's going to be a lot of fun having him on. Lots of volatility here. This is what you ask for when you're trading. You know, win, lose, or draw, you just want the market to be moving. You want the things that you're looking at to be moving. And then just to keep you abreast of this, like I'm still looking for some kind of an opportunity in SunPower. It just started going sideways off 22. The thing about any entry when it's down this far, and again, I can zoom it out so you can get an idea how far it's down. When it's out this much or down this much, very tight stops. If I take an entry, like a breakdown at 22 here on a flat bottom break, it's like 1 cent worth of risk. That's it. And then just see what happens. You know, if it breaks and continues to break lower, great. And if I can hold it into an imbalanced sell, even better. But it would be very tight risk on any trade here in SunPower.
Yeah, we're taking a little bit of a pullback here off of that 18 halves. Futures still well within trend, right? So let's see how well this one works out. Softy coming right back in. We were talking about a sideways consolidation. It's coming back into its consolidation lows here quite aggressively, might I add. High of day on Softy are 405.86 is trading at 402.87s right now. We were talking about that lower high. Oh boy, did we actually pull back off of that lower high on Softy there. So Neil, good call on that one. I guess that was the one to kind of get short on. Only about 50 seconds left for this 15-minute candle to print there. So got to keep an eye on that one there. 530s on the spider. Got a little short here just underneath that 530 mark. So let's see if this one kind of pans out. Like I said, again, 30 seconds left for this 15-minute candle to print. And we are trading below that 18.5. Again, trends are still holding. Again, trying to revert tickers end of day, not the best, but again, we kind of managing this a little bit better than we did the aggressive Nvidia short earlier on in the day here. Let's see if the spider can stay below 530s. Let me pull up the book here for you guys to see. 529.80s trading right now. Average is 529.79. So we're just teetering in and around some of those levels as of right now. Shop is curling. Yeah. You said? Okay.
Palantir is hanging on for dear life at $29 as well. So in this move, PLTR once, twice, 3 times it's tested 29. The last time it wicked down to literally 28.99 before zipping back to the upside. So that could be a bit of a flat bottom break on Palantir. Okay, so SunPower broke that low, but it's short sell restricted down 39%, and it was down probably more than that yesterday. So I didn't get filled, and again, you know, all you can do is like throw an order. You know, when you break a flat bottom like this and it's short sell restricted, all you can do is fire out the order and hope to get picked up because you can't hit the bid without an uptick. So I'm sitting here on the offer. If I'm able to get filled, we'll see. I might end up having to pull this and try to get in somewhere else. But at least for now, we're sitting on the offer here at SunPower as it continues to break low. I said if it barcoded, I was going to take a shot at it. And then we did, and unfortunately nothing doing. Intel's starting to hold a bid here just underneath 2010. And then Alphabet said we'd give it a chance on the breakdown and then only take half so that I could get myself an average price a little closer to the midpoint of the range. So that's what we did, midpoint of the range here, and then we're stopping out if it breaks that actual range. So on a zoom out, this is what it looks like. Instead of getting the fill in here, we actually take the breakdown, but only take half, get the rest there. If it breaks out the 20s, I'm jumping out of that trade, looking for a pullback into VWAP here on, I almost said Palantir, but Google. It's Palantir I'm also watching for that 29 level here, Obi.
Yes, sir. So a bit of a move right back up. We're doing a lot of chop here at that 18.5, almost expected, I think. As again, well within trend. We're 18.5, just a bit of a $100 point mark on the chart there. Let's see what we do. Softy with a little bit of a bid back up to the upside as well. And yeah, 18.5 still kind of holding. So I don't really see too much here. Bit of an entry here on the spider, but still it's reclaiming the 530s. It's attempting to push a little bit higher here. If Softy continues to push, continues to kind of bounce there, along with Apple, Nvidia, Amazon almost back to day highs, and then Nvidia as well. That 105 coming in to play there. So we'll wait. We'll see. We still got an hour and 13 minutes left in the trading day. What's going on, Adara?
We have Pinterest pushing higher here, a bit of a volume spike on this. Circulating here on X, this report from The Information with regards to Amazon announcing partnerships here with TikTok and Pinterest. Worth noting, though, Amazon and Pinterest already released or had a partnership announced as early as April 2023 with regards to allowing users on the platform to buy items from Amazon advertisements without leaving the app. So it sounds like they've just announced this with TikTok. This was previously an arrangement with Pinterest. I'm going to continue reading on this report. But either way, Pinterest-Amazon partnership discussions setting this one sharply to the upside, guys. PINS.
Oh, yep. Man, this is absolutely flying. Thank you very much, Volcan, for the super chat. Dump 9. What do you think? Yesterday repeat. I don't know about that time. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like we're not going to be around trading at 9. We're going to be trading to 4 o'clock. But let me know what you mean there. I don't know if we're going to have the same afternoon that we did yesterday. It's not that easy to predict. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Obviously, the NASDAQ are at highs, so I have a couple of shorts on. Just quickly here for that Pinterest move. It got all the way to $30. So this was 29 even, exactly 29 when the news hit, and then up to pretty much exactly 30. And then the previous high here was 29.25. So I think somewhere, I'm just going to look for a bounce play on pins here. And somewhere in that target range of 29 to the previous high, any kind of buy support when this settles down will be good. But it's still got to figure itself out. We're not settled down on the stock yet. Once it starts to settle down, I would look for something in that range. If it holds, try to buy the dip here and not chase the move at all. Oh, he's writing from Sweden. He means 3 p.m. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm short off of these highs too. So, I mean, it kind of is what it is. It's 250. We got power hour coming in. And given what we saw yesterday and off of those highs, I looked for a couple of things that were resistance levels with relatively tight stops that we could grab. However, we are ready now, and oddly enough, you can't make this up. We just got news. Like, I heard it as Adair is giving the news. I heard it in my ear from Benzinga, and we've got Ryan Faloona on from Benzinga, and you just had a dollar move on Pinterest if you heard that one in your ear. So Ryan, if you're with us, there he is. Ryan, how's it going, first of all?
It's going great, man. How's it going with you? Great call by Adair right there on that Pinterest move. I actually took the squawk out of my ear to join the show here, so I wasn't able to play that. But boy, oh boy, that's a scalper right there.
You know, so I'm guilty of this, and that's very professional of you as we're going to have a conversation to take the squawk out of your ear. I have to confess that the trader in me, like as we're talking right now, I don't turn it off. So if something,
well, if this is going to turn into confession corner, I got one for you, because in the morning when I do my show, I used to listen to that thing all the time, and I would constantly have to ask my co-host, what did you say? Because I was busy trying to take a trading tip from the squawk. So with you there, totally get it.
Sean and I both don't turn it off either. So every now and then, like Brendan will be saying something or whatever, and we're both listening to news that just hit. It's like, what did he just say? Because we were listening to see what was moving in the markets, which, hey, at the end of the day, trader's going to trade. So a couple of things. Well, obviously, the markets are at highs right now. I know there's a lot that we could talk about here. Can I just get your quick thoughts on, we're at the overnight highs, maybe what you're looking at here before we get into some of the other things we're discussing? Just because I'm going to pull up the cues. For anybody looking at the cues, if you're looking at levels, in the ES and the NASDAQ are at highs, but the cues just pulled right back into, I went to zoom out this way, pulled right back into yesterday's highs, pretty much on a dime at 44.9, and then the NASDAQ futures at like 18.55, depending on, I don't care what you're looking at, and then we're starting to pull back in. So quickly, first thoughts on that here, Ryan.
Yeah, so unable to take out yesterday's intraday high here, even after the nice rally. To me, this speaks to a potential reload of that SQQQ position that you guys were day trading the last couple of days here. Maybe even look into XPXS, which is the short S&P 500 ETF, if you want to play that. I like to do that a little bit closer to the close, because one of the things that I've seen is that like it looks really crispy with those levels, but then right as we get to the close, we get some type of extreme movement, and I'd like to kind of play that to my advantage if I can. So one of the things that I'm going to be looking at before we close here, no position filled on that, but I think I might reload some of those short ETF instruments for a trade into tomorrow.
Great look, and just to bring it up here, SPXS, and for a lot of our viewers, like here, you know, a lot of times we just really prefer, we can go short without paying an extra cost in the Qs or in something else, but if you can only go long, getting one of these inverted is going to make a lot of sense for trading. We never suggest, I mean, there's going to be decay issues with these if you try longer term trades, but for day trading, this is, I think, what you're talking about, and maybe it requires a liquidity grab underneath or a longer consolidation or higher lows. So that's what you're getting at here, Ryan. A lot of patience, I think. And how late, let's just spitball it here. If you were going to put something on late into the close, like how late is it before you say, okay, not going to make the trade? the time has been missed or it's not happening yet?
Well, the stock would, or the equity, whatever it is, would really have to start moving there. I mean, generally speaking, I'm content waiting till the last 10 minutes here. And if I even have to scale into that position because we're getting some volatile movements near that closing print, then I'll do that too. But I mean, something would have to change. Like, I really kind of feel like we're at a spot where we could kind of break down right now, looking at the spot. I have an Eli Lilly trade set up here for you, which we'll get to here in a sec. But I'm just looking at the SPY right now. I'm okay unless we really kind of rocket through that high and we've got volume that picks up here. I think the thesis is still intact, so I'll just wait till the last 10 minutes. Might have to do multiple entries in order to get that position ready.
Gotcha. And I think that's an important, as you said, might have to do multiple positions to get that position ready. It happens. I think there's a vast difference between, okay, I'm in position in something, and okay, so maybe it goes against you, like, oh, let's just average into it. And you're only doing that because it goes against you, or maybe you're averaging up. It's going up. I'm going to get more, but it was never really part of your plan of action. I think it was a second ago when I got into an alphabet trade, which actually might stop out here. Well, maybe not yet, but it could get close. Where I didn't get it at the price I wanted, but it was breaking a support. So okay, I'm just going to get in half, and then if it retests the range high, I have an opportunity to get the other half at this price, which gets me the position I would have wanted if I had gotten it during the consolidation. But like, that was the plan of action, which I was able to express before you even put the trade on. And a wise trader once told me, if you can't explain your trade, you don't have a trade. You've got something else.
Yep, you've got hopes and dreams, because there have been times where I've bought something and someone's asked me about it. I've been like, I'm not really, I should just hit the sell button on this. Forget it. I'm with you on that.
In investing, like, if you can't explain how a company makes money, like, you don't have to understand everything about their business, what they do, but just quite simply, how does this business make money? And if you don't know the answer to that question, I don't want to invest in that company. It should be relatively straightforward, but you're so right about that. When it comes to setting up a trade. So you piqued my interest with Eli Lilly because I'm an Eli Lilly shareholder. Adara on the show snagged a $3 or $4 move, and she's for all intents and purposes, she's a trainee on the floor here, trading Eli Lilly after that big earnings move, and it was pretty bullish to start with, obviously. Yes. Then you get that big retracement. So what's going on here?
So her trade, was it long or short? Because I got a short setup for you I want to show you.
She actually got a good long bounce in the downtrend, and I'm like, that's stones. And it was a great one, too, which is not an easy thing to do in a downward trending stock. Like in Eli Lilly, it's $800. So I'll shout out to her for that. But you have a short setup, which is with the trend right now today.
Yeah, and here's what I like the most about this setup. First of all, this is the KISS method, right? We're going to keep this as simple as possible. But what I like the most about this is actually a setup for either direction, and really the market is going to tell you which direction you're going to trade it. Well, the market told us this morning that we're going to trade this short. So even though I'm mostly a long bias trader, guess what? I was trading it short. That's what the market was telling me to do. This is one of my favorite setups because you can identify these almost every single day. What I've done here, you had already mentioned Eli Lilly, super strong earnings report, popped it. And then this morning, we kind of have this little range here in the pre-market session, right? So I identified a little bit of a range here. I basically just drew horizontal lines to mark off that range. And I said to myself, okay, we're going to wait. We're going to have the market tell us which side of this are we going to break? Are we going to break north of 882, or are we going to break down from 850? And then I want to see a retest of that boundary. And if it does retest that boundary, giddy up. That's our entry trigger here. So you can see where I was kind of waiting for this to do what it's going to do. The first move out of the open was actually a little bit of a head fake. Thankfully, it didn't really trade up a whole lot, but it did move up. And then boom, those profit takers, those people that were playing for earnings, they were cashing out. This thing came right back down to that 850 level, actually broke it and came back. And when it came back, I actually filled on my first order there. It actually broke above that line, but did not clear the VWAP. That would have been our sign to get out, that, hey, maybe this is going to bounce back to the top end of the range. And then it rolled over, battled on that line for that 850 line for a little bit, and then sank. This is the short setup. Now, if I'm grading myself here, I actually gave myself a C. Even though we played this thing to perfection, the reality is that for this trade to really be a crisp moneymaker, you got to add when this trade goes in your favor. And because I was switching around and doing a bunch of things this morning, I actually missed the ad. So I was okay with my first position as a potential trade here. You'll notice that it spent all day under that VWAP until recently, so maybe now the sentiment is a little bit different here. We'll see what happens when we get back into that range. I'm with you. I like Eli Lilly. I think that this probably moves higher. This was just a little bit of profit taking here today, and we took advantage of that price movement.
I think you're a little, I mean, look, I absolutely love the getting real with the grading on your own trading. I tend to be, and everyone that watches the show knows, I can be awfully critical of myself because I think you have to be when you're trading. I think you're being a little harsh with a C on it, but I get your point, because if you really, really like a trade and it just trends all day, well, I shouldn't say all day, if it just continues to trend off of your entry for a bigger move, like if this, it breaks down here, like obviously if you perfect trade there, but like if it breaks down here off of that open at first resistance, well, that initial move, it's just as good when it retests underneath that support level as the first trade is just as good as the second trade. And then you actually can hold this one longer. There's all these lower highs that you can play with. And if you really, really like something, you can get it all in at one spot and then just hold it all day long, or you can use some of that capital to just stick with the same stock and go into it again. This is why I was critical of myself yesterday on Intel, because, and I'm just going to quickly pull this up, because I graded myself like an F- on Intel yesterday. Oh, you can't have an F-. That's obviously nonsensical. And I'm taking it out on myself today. The only good thing about my trading today on Intel is I am the most disciplined person when it comes to stops. I do not hold past my stops ever. I mean, literally ever. So here,
you can teach me a thing or two then, because I've broken that rule a few times more than I care to admit.
Well, we all do, but and on this chart, so like adhere to it, 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 and I have my stop up here at the high of the day. Like that's the only good thing I'm doing about Intel today. But yesterday, I was short off of the high here, and then when it broke 20, I just did not like here. It supported 20, it broke it. You just have to be in here. You have to. If you like the short in a stock like this, when it starts to break down and gives you a consolidation at 20, and these wicks on a 3-minute were literally at $20 even for 5 minutes. $20 even for 5 minutes is the top on the offer, and I just did not get into that stock. So I think I love the fact that you're being critical of yourself there, but I would wager you've done really well with Lilly. Can I ask you a question about Eli Lilly on maybe the higher, just on the higher time frame? Because we always talk about give post earnings like a 3-day waiting period, like the 3-day wait and see, or like the cooling off period, whatever you want to call it. And you clearly go into resistance in here. It's a very, very bullish move on the daily, breaking what was a sharp downward trend. And if you respect, like here's what I'm sort of looking at here. Like if you respect what was a very steep trend to the downside, this could pull all the way back into 800 and still kind of give a big rubber band play on Eli Lilly. So I'm not even that scared if it breaks the low. It would still feel like a good long out in here in the 800 level if it were to roll back over again. What are you looking for tomorrow for Lilly, if anything?
Here, that's great. Here's exactly what I'm looking at. I'll show you here on my chart. So first of all, this move, how this candle finishes, is going to determine what my sentiment is going into tomorrow. Now, obviously, I'm going to readjust depending on what kind of news flow or what the market is doing. But how this candle closes is going to tell me a lot about my trade plan tomorrow. First of all, even though we kind of sold off here, let's call it profit taking, let's call it a regression to the mean, whatever you want to call it, we actually didn't even totally test that 100-day, and buyers immediately took us back up. So we're holding that. We're actually above the 20-day moving average right now, and we found some upside resistance at the 50-day moving average. So for ease here, if we just close right here, we close above this 20-day and we close below this 50-day, I've already got some things to look at tomorrow. I suspect, given that gap up, given that break of the steep trend that you already talked about, this is going to be in kind of bullish favor, I guess, let's call it. And let's see if we can't get a close above that 50-day tomorrow, maybe push through it and test that level. If we get a close here above the 50-day today, I don't think we're going to get that. But if we do get that today, giddy up. I think we'd have some more momentum. We can probably scalp this to the upside tomorrow, because I think it's going to want to try and push out of that range and find its new top.
Absolutely love the look there. And thank you so much, Ryan, for coming on here. And if you enjoy Ryan's thoughts, trade ideas, perspective on trading, reflection, all of that good stuff. Don't be afraid to check him out. Thankfully, here every single day. But again, tomorrow we're going to have you on the Aftermarket show where we can dive into a few other things as well. I love having you on. I want to thank you so much for joining. And shout out to Ben Zinga, because that pins move, you absolutely could have had it. So thank you very much once again, Ryan Faloona from Ben Zinga.
Appreciate it a lot. Thank you. And it's good to be seen. We'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. See you tomorrow there. And markets, Obi, I'll tell you right now, I'm in two things that are flat, but the market just made a bit of a curl there for the SPY there as you were looking at it here.
Yeah. Thanks again to Ryan there. I didn't want to ask him, like, what are his risk parameters on that Lilly trade that he's trading, because like I was watching it as well. I was like, I do have ideas to trade this. But
let's ask him tomorrow.
Yeah,
you stick around, and I'll make sure. Just remind me on the Aftermarket show, and we'll go right through it. I mean, I'm curious
to know, because if you had that short setup, like what's the kind of risk you're taking? Are you kind of sizing accordingly relative to that risk? Power bar highs, high a day, consolidation highs, whatnot. But yeah, 105s pulls back into 104s on the Nvidia, and we were talking about that 18.5. We were looking for some lower highs as well. I looked across the board and I was like, well, if I'm trying to take that 18.5 breakdown, why don't I just take a short in a market instrument instead? Why do I want to make my life harder than it really needs to be? Softy, we were talking about that revisit of that range that it's been doing. Take a look at that beautiful, beautiful range happening on Softy. 405s and change, all the way back down to 401s and change. A little bit of a pullback here off of those levels there. ES as well, a little bit of a curl happening as of right now. Let's see, 529 was that prior bit of a resistance here, and we took a 40 penny bounce, 50 penny bounce right off of that level. Let's see if we can come back in. What's going on, Adara?
Keep an eye on both Delta and CrowdStrike here, DAL and CRWD. We have Delta right now coming out and saying they are, quote, pursuing legal claims against CrowdStrike and Microsoft to recover damage caused by the outage. We had already seen reports of this, but they're apparently looking for at least $500 million in damages. That's what they feel was caused by that outage. Delta Airlines also saying that they expect the direct revenue impact of this incident to be roughly $380 million, and that we'll feel that in that September quarter. So interesting look there for DAL. DAL not really reacting much. CrowdStrike, though, getting a little bit of a curl back down here with a bit of a volume pop. So keep an eye on CRWD, DAL, as well as MSFT with regards to Delta pursuing this legal action, guys.
So just for
probably better because it's in a range, right?
For CrowdStrike, that's pulling right back into VWAP, which it's been hugging the entire day. So maybe if it can give it up. What Obi and I were just discussing is a minute ago, before we had Ryan on, and we were sort of scanning over. And again, this is entirely my mistake. So the fail goes to me here, not anybody else, right? You got to self-reflect. Right before, when we were looking for things that were weak, you had Microsoft on this double top that was already making a lower high. And I kind of said, I was already in Intel. I'm like, oh, I kind of like Microsoft here for a lower high. Then Obi pointed out Alphabet. And so I pulled up, before I got into position, I pulled up Alphabet. And it was like, it's on a second lower high. Oh, I like this better because it's putting in another lower high of here. I don't even have to worry about the high of the day. It had already triple topped at a lower high. There's just a lot of things about it. Like, look at it's got this nice steep trend on the daily chart where it's essentially rejecting that as well. It just set up really nice. You then throw out, where is it consolidating right off of yesterday's high? There's all this confluence in the Google trade that I'm like, oh, let's just go with the Google trade instead of the first one I saw. Which sometimes, if I had done all of that same work, which, I mean, it doesn't take very long to do all that work. Like, you flip to a couple of charts, it takes you 30 seconds to a minute to go through all those thoughts. But if I had done the same analysis with the one that I went to first, what would I have found? Same lower highs on Microsoft. So that's one for one. Microsoft failing under the 200 period moving average, advantage Microsoft. Microsoft a ways away from yesterday's high, advantage Microsoft. So, and then in Microsoft, the first thing I thought about, three things why I should have liked Microsoft more. And it's on me, obviously, but Google doesn't want to go, and Microsoft just dropped $3. it kind of speaks for itself. So when we grade ourselves, like the way I see it, even if Google were to pull into VWAP, I still get like a D for the trade because the other opportunity was Microsoft in and around here. And obviously, I don't know that that Delta news is going to hit. You get a bit of a benefit from that, but it was already weaker anyway. So Microsoft falling on that Delta news, which when you really think about it, as Google goes up, and why I don't want to fight Alphabet, is anything bad for Softy is probably decent for Google. And look, Google just doesn't want to break. So there it goes. It just doesn't want to break down. Well, the market's trying to make it move. Let's just jump out of the trade. Find the next opportunity wherever we can. Apple poop. I almost thought, okay, I'll admit, Jorge, for a second there, I thought Apple pop. But Apple is popping. Oh, it is pop. Okay, I thought poop. Oh, yeah. I'm in my head. I'm like, you did say pop. I'm like, poop? I'm like, no, Apple's bouncing. Okay, so there we go. Apple is popping, not poop. Apple bouncing off of VWAP in here. Sometimes I'll read the chart. I'll read the chat really quickly, and I'll get the wrong thing in my head. But you did say pop. It did absolutely pop. Let's go over to Adara.
Brought to you by Stonks.com. Want a chance to win $1,000 every day? Stonks.com is giving out $1,000 daily. And entering is super easy. Predict the stock price after the earnings report. Today, we're looking at Take-Two Interactive, TTWO. All it takes is 30 seconds to join. You just have to go to stonks.com, sign up, and hit the Make Prediction button, and you could potentially win $1,000. It's that simple. Each day, you get one free ticket to predict. Want more chances? Share your referral link and get 5 extra tickets for each sign up. Go to stonks.com. Don't miss out, and good luck.
Thank you, Adara.
Fabian, was that my screen up while she was reading that? Yeah, I think it was because I actually haven't made my prediction on Stonks, so I'm not going to revenge trade into Google right now. I'm not happy with the fact that I had 2 choices and I picked the one that didn't go and the other one just went $5. So we'll let the next trade set up. It's Power Hour in here. What was I thinking? Okay, so this is what I'm just trying to make my prediction. This is TTWO. It's only 5% short float. Like you can see some obvious levels. That's like 141.5. It's trading at 137 right now. So let's just go with, I said 141.5. So I didn't do this yesterday and I didn't win. I tried to keep my pick secret and then it didn't work. So I'm just going to go back to doing what I was doing before, which is showing you guys the most ridiculous. So above that resistance on the daily, I'm just going to go 142.69 because that's how creative I am. I do the exact same thing every day. And when I show it to you guys, I've been winning a little bit of something here. So I'm up to, on free entries, I think I'm up like $9 or whatsoever. And then, we'll see what happens. If I ever parlay one of the big ones, then we'll take a big swing. So I've made my guess. You make yours. You can let me know in the chat what you want to, if you want. But please don't copy my 142.69 on Take-Two. That's not fun for anybody. And I saw a couple people mention they were going to do the whole Price is Right thing, where you just shave. I almost said what they used to call it on the floor. I was a penny stock trader, and like if I was on the bid, and back then, based on a certain gateway I used to use all the time, someone would be like, oh, Neil's on the bid at 25 cents and 25.15 cents. And then they just pop on like at 25.16 or something. And we had a term for that. Now it's called shaving. That's not what I called it. And that's not what other people would call it. But I'm not going to say that. Don't shave my order. There's no fun in that. But let's go back over to the markets here, Obi.
That is a big no-no on a prop floor.
No, you don't. Okay,
you do not do that.
And this, and again, this is just if you're on a prop floor, it's not to say that I was saying what my position would be or where I'm sitting on the bid. It's just like I used to use the track gateway a lot back in the day, and everybody knew I used to use the track gateway. So if you saw on a stock that everyone knew I traded, if somebody showed up size at that, like it was probably me, and they're like, oh, this is a good fill, and some trainee or somebody would jump in front of me, and I'd be like, are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing? Like, you just don't do that. It's one of those things that's a no-no on a prop floor.
Yes.
It's not like you just don't do it. Anyways, let's go back over to Adara. AMD, I want to talk about when we get back.
Just be aware here, we are having some comments coming out now from Feds Barkin, who is supposed to begin speaking here around 1 p.m. Speaking about the labor market, which is, we know, something that has been being watched here by the Federal Reserve through comments and through their decisions here. We have Feds Barkin saying that from his context in the ground, he's seeing no hiring or firing. That's what they're seeing in the data, and it could go, quote, either way from here. So basically, waiting to get a better sense of decision here with regards to the labor market, which is something we know that the Fed has been watching. Also, just be aware as well, we have former President Donald Trump making comments saying that the U.S. president should be able to have a say in the Fed's actions. So some things to be aware of with regards to the Federal Reserve as we get into Power Hour here, guys.
Thank you so much there, Adara.
Thank you.
And so I wanted to mention AMD here. I saw it in the chat as well. So AMD the market's double top. AMD just caught a you-know-what of a bid into this higher low. And it's a key level. 135 half, 135 half, 135 half, certainly popping right back into it. Thank you, DJ Marshall. Proper etiquette. You know what it is? Like, there's, like, no matter what you do, like, it could be a sport, it could be like poker. At the poker table, there's etiquette. You play golf, there's a certain etiquette there. On a trading floor, everybody shares ideas. That's part of what makes it good. Like, we're here telling you our thoughts all the time because that's how it rolls on the floor. Like, no one's sitting in a corner on a trading floor like, this is what I do, don't touch my strategy. I mean, every now and then you get somebody like that, but trust me, nobody likes them if they do that. Like, you're just share ideas and you're supposed to grow. But you don't take it that extra step of taking money out of somebody else's pocket.
Yep.
Like, that's where the no-no comes in. Like, and the funny thing is, any trader back in the day, like, if you wanted to say, hey, man, what are your thoughts? I would just tell you. I have no problems, but don't sit there and shave my order flow when you see it.
Yeah.
It's just not the way to go. So let's see what happens on AMD. I kind of want to play this one.
You won't be trading for long if you do that kind of stuff.
No, yeah, not at all. And I was telling Obi a story of a guy that graduated next to us. There was two of us that led the floor when I was a trainee. We graduated. We were the top two at the time. And there was a guy, a trainee, who just sat next to us as a way to grow, which is fine. And then he started kind of doing a little bit of what we were doing, and he graduated. And then after he graduated, we just kind of realized, hey, the guy's not contributing anything, and he's literally just copying our trades. So we started to kind of shield away from letting him just copycat, and lo and behold, he was never around anymore.
Yeah.
And it would have been, he was contributing, no problem, but it's like, hey, man, you're just kind of stealing every single one of our ideas. And okay, obviously, when I'm talking about the person that was shaving my orders, I'm talking about this guy. So, we started like not letting everybody know. I switched up some gateways. The next thing you know, the guy wasn't working with us anymore. And it is what it is. Like, call it like, yeah, it's like front running there, Scott Angel in the chat.
Kind of front running, similar.
What algos do, except you tell ideas. Now,
Except they're allowed to.
On AMD or Intel or the SPY here, which we could be trading, like, what difference does it make? It just literally doesn't matter on these stocks. There's so much liquidity. But on some penny stock that's doing a couple million shares a day, and I'm pushing a few 100,000, in my heyday, it does matter.
Yep.
And at that, like, that's only you can only eat so much in a situation like that. So it did matter back in the day. Who cares on Apple and AMD though?
Yeah, exactly. So we got to. So I'm trying this SPY short a couple of times here. Again, that 18.5 kind of pulling in. I don't think it's showing my position board right now, but that's fine. I'm just in at that 530s right here, just above 530.19s, and we're pulling back down off of that 18.5, and we're making some lower highs as well. That bid was aggressive off that 529, kind of that prior structure that did come in. And just trying to take this little trend, maybe potentially back into that 529 here if the spider will have me. But again, got to watch out for some of this volatility going in. Again, less than 40 minutes, 45 minutes left in the trading day, 43 minutes to be exact. And that Pinterest news kind of continuing to bid up. So we had a little bit of a shake and bake that happened off of that news. Let's go down to the 1 minute and look at that. News comes out, pop, fade back in, break, false break, consolidate, making higher lows, and steadily creeping right back up. 29.67s it's trading at, trading above opening range high as well. We clip some of prior day's highs as well on the ticker. Prior day high is 30.03, and current day high is 29.98. So let's see if we can kind of continue that up. That trend back up, but the volume is fading off on Pinterest there, off of that news. Now, again, if I heard correctly, it was a little bit of a big five, It was a big large cap association kind of scalper trade there, where they have some news relation to Amazon. If I'm not mistaken. So I don't think Amazon really had any sort of reaction to that, but definitely Pins being the smaller market cap company there, getting a little bit of some price action there, pulling back down off of that 18.5. Let's see if now we can get down to that 529, or we just bid right back up in a sideways chop for the last hour. We've been only bidding up all day, man. This is absolutely wild. All day selling yesterday and most of the day bidding today. Wild, Neil. How do we...
Definitely wild.
We got to come up with some trend playbook.
For the record, anyone in the chat, like I was literally, that story was 19 years ago.
Wow.
So it's like, it's nobody that's even sniffed this location and floor that we're on right now. Nobody you've ever seen on the show. I've been trading for quite some time. So it was a long time ago. And as I said in the chat, this guy was a good dude. Like, we'd hang out at the bar, great dude, great to chat with. We met his brother. He had a twin brother. It was cool as shit. But it was just, it was just etiquette on the trading floor. That was all. Before we go to Adara, Tesla just lost a lower high at 199. This kind of confirms the fail underneath 200. So room into VWAP. I'm looking at this for a better pullback as well. I just want something a little bit weaker here. So Tesla looking like a good one here underneath 199. Adara?
Just be aware here, MSOS and some of these marijuana-related stocks are moving higher right now with volume here. We have MSOS up. I checked on social media, not seeing any news on this, but apparently Donald Trump, who is currently speaking, we heard he made some comments about the role of the Fed as well, apparently making some comments suggesting the support of marijuana legalization and rescheduling, so this giving it a push higher. Also with MSOS, another thing to note here as well is that some chat on Twitter as well with MSOS being shorted by Citadel Research and Ken Griffin. I did confirm this on their website that is in fact true. So MSOS also have a short position here from Citadel Research. So this short position with combination of these comments here from Donald Trump suggesting that he would be pro-marijuana legalization or rescheduling, sending MSOS and some of these other cannabis stocks higher, guys.
Oh, that'll work. I mean, yeah, that'll work. I just pulled up CGC over here, and I'm going to quickly just show you. So that's MSOS, but CGC, it just set up an easy consolidation here off of $7. So, I mean, I saw MSOS. I'm like, okay, let's look for an entry there. Pulled up CGC and saw this play off of the $7 level. I just got partially filled at 6. I can't even get any more shares right now. I'm just sitting on the bid here. Might have to take a breakout. But if there's going to be a squeeze here because the former president is saying some good things for cannabis, this would be interesting. MSOS, lots of room to go till you get to some local resistance. That's up at around 770. Let's look at the daily chart here. There you go. Like up around here, 770, and then again at like 8 to 8 change. And then with respect to CGC just breaking out locally. What I like about this, look at the support 6, wick underneath, hold higher, breakout. That's a classic sort of liquidity grab under support for a potential squeeze, and then it's going to try and break this trend line. Oops, I meant to actually draw that. And then it's going to try and break this trend line right here, right now. I was trying to get it underneath that and just give it to $7. So there we go. We actually got the fill there at 6, and I'm just going to give it to, it's actually $6.99. So it breaks $6.99, easy out. If it breaks the top, I'd probably look for a place to add first over what that trend line would be, which is the high of the day. So it's not a heck of a lot of risk in terms of notional or the percent, but just seeing that happen with only about 35 minutes to go, I just feel like it's going to be worth taking this shot. Oh, Intel made a fresh high, so we're out of Intel once again. Might have a runner here. Let's track these weed names. Suddenly looking interesting again, Obi.
Yes, sir. So yeah, definitely one of the former presidents speaking on that topic, and definitely bring in some action there. Lots of volume coming in. I'm watching that MSOS on my other screen as well here, trading at 735s. Are you guys trading any of this move on these marijuana tickers? Let us know some tickers in the chat, and we can take a look at those if you guys are involved at all in this move here. I guess we were a little late to the party, Was it 310 is when that volume started coming in, and it is 323 as of right now. So still, it's been about 20 minutes ish since that volume came into these tickers. So we're kind of coming in a little bit later here. If I do decide to take a fill on it, volume has been decreasing slightly as well. So I do want to keep that in mind. Yeah, here, if I can just put that on my screen properly. Look at that volume kind of decreasing as well as this move kind of comes in. So maybe it's time for a reversion.
Well, we'll see. For me, the reason I picked CGC over MSOS was that $7 level. Like it gave you a consolidation, gave you that $7 level. So playing off of that gives me an out. Because to me, if I can't explain the trade, which is get long here, if it loses that bid, get out of it, I don't have an entry in MSOS. But there is something brewing over here in Bitcoin as we are cresting back up to the 60, like triple top here into, it's like 59,860, whatever. But 60,000, a bit of a triple top. Now, I'm watching it here in real trading. You can trade BTC specifically. That said, we do have the ETFs now. So I can have a chart up of one and be looking at the 60,000 level as you see that high, and then I can pull up an IBIT, which just a little bit more traditional liquidity. I just like things that look like stocks because I trade stocks. So that's why an ETF makes sense. You got the same triple top. Like if we take 60,000 out, I'm just going to be looking for a sustained bid above 60,000, and then maybe you get a break on IBIT. And this works both ways. If we fail break 60,000 and come back in, that can be a nice little scalp rejection. So with just about 25 minutes to go to the imbalances, we're going to have a look, see if CGC wants to continue with MSOS. Still kind of tracking AMD. And then now this Bitcoin looking pretty interesting. Jet token. Ooh. No, it is Jet token.
New coin?
He says Lumen is moving again. Lumen to VWAP? That wasn't that clean. I had no reason to get that.
Wow. Looking for that short yesterday. It comes in today. Beautiful.
Had the long the first couple of times off $5, and we didn't have it late. I just want to see what this looks like. Yeah, look at the volume. Look at the volume spike on that bottom. See, that's the difference. Like sometimes when you're looking for a long, like it's all well and good when it just holds an even dollar level and nothing significant is happening. Like nothing's happening when it's holding $5 here on a dip. Nothing's happening when it's holding $5 on a dip. Something's happening here when it breaks $5, stops everybody out, myself included, and then does the biggest volume candle of the day and then starts to reclaim, because then the long back through $5 is much better. Like it's wiped, all the weak hands are out, and maybe some people are short, and then there's your breakup. So shout out to anybody that actually got that on Lumen, but you got to go on to the next, which at this point, we'll see if it's going to be that Bitcoin IBIT as well. If I trade, it's IBIT. What I would watch is also Bitcoin here in that 60,000.
Yes, I see that Strobe in the chat saying Lumen is crap. Well, maybe, but it's doing a lot of relative volume. It's churning a lot of dollar volume as well, and that's where the party's at. And you know what? It's okay if you don't want to be at the party. That's fine. There's many, many other parties that happen in the market here. So again, it's to each their own. You gotta know what your cup of tea is, and trade that as well. Everybody has different strengths and weaknesses, and if you just gotta play to those, right? Play to your strengths and weaknesses and what you are good at as well. But yeah, just kind of watching Nvidia here, watching Shopify. Uber is still holding its highs, absolutely wild there. So it broke day 2 earnings and continued past some of those levels there. Datadog, I remember in the chat people were talking about, can we look at some Datadog? Datadog has pretty much held within its opening range all day. So let's take a quick look at that. MSOS, nice little pullback there. So yeah, if you kind of smashed that back in for the reversion, it is working out quite nicely, about 10 pennies. 10 pennies in the money off of when I was last looking at it at 732, 733s. Right here now trading at 718. So a lot of short-term volume potentially coming into this ticker. And as the volume fades off, guess what? Anybody and everybody who bought at some of these prices, at some of these pullbacks, potentially in a little bit of trouble. So let's take a look at Datadog as well, and we can kind of talk through this together here just to see what it's been up to today. So yeah, look at that nice little opening. Oh boy, what was that? Did something just come in? Okay, never mind. Whatever. I'll let that run. The short is working for now. So 118 highs off of the open there. Strong flush down into, I think this is anchored to earnings right here. And look at that, opening range, just kind of chop, consolidating, churning, orbiting, whatever you want to call it, in between day lows at 111s and some of these consolidation highs just shy of 115. So Datadog, nothing too much, but like I said, if your strength is range trading, then this is something that you could potentially be watching and trading as well. So Datadog has just been a little sideways like that. Amazon and Apple, a few people saying that. Adrian, Adam DeLuz. Yeah, let's take a quick look at what those. Oh, Amazon breaking trend. Softy to the downside as well. What's Apple doing? Apple is breaking below VWAP. Hello. And Alphabet, we were talking about that range, that sideways consolidation. I was like, yeah, you just got to be a little patient. Now. Like we said, I tried this short a couple of times. This could still not work. That bid came in at 529. We could still make a higher low on top of 529. But I was looking at some of these tickers, and I'm like, all right, we're looking a little bit
Microsoft's tank.
Turning here. Microsoft, yeah, Softy still hasn't broken range low just yet. I'm seeing prior low right here at 401s and some change, and then opening 30-minute range low just above that 400 mark. 399.99 for sale on Softy, opening range low on the 30-minute. So that's potentially coming in. Alphabet breaking trend as well. I like that. Missed that on the reversion, but guess what? We got a little chunk of SPY here. Let's see if I spy a little bit of reversion down into VWAP right now.
You spy with your little eye something that is red.
You ever read those books? I used to love those books. Those were solid.
I mean, I have a kid, so
fair enough.
The answer to like, have I read insert children's book? The answer is probably a yes. Although recently,
Dr. Seuss.
Oh, we have all.
We had the full collection. The man had bars.
Yeah, it was. Oh
bars,
yeah,
straight bars.
I don't care what anyone says about it. Like they're all fantastic. And
oh yeah,
yeah. My daughter loves them. The newest thing she likes to do is instead of me reading her stories, and she's 7 now, so she can read. So she'll read the story, and then she'll say, "Daddy, can you videotape her reading the story?" And then she pretends she's, like how kind of like a Mr. Rogers or your teacher would read you a story. She pretends she's doing that for a crowd.
That's cool, yeah.
And then here's the best part, and I know this is entirely my fault, but mostly Sean's, because Sean says it more than me. Then she'll say at the end of it, if you enjoyed this story. Please, yeah, she does do this, Fabian. If you enjoyed this story, please check out my channel. She does the whole YouTube, and then don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. I'm not posting it anywhere, and she still remembers to do that just because she's like, Daddy's on YouTube.
That's pretty cool.
I think it's cute. I mean, whatever. No one else has to think it's cute but me, because that's how it works. But just two things here. One, Intel wicked the high again, so I jumped back in. CGC did not hold on. It did do better than, it held the consolidation range. I never moved my stop from $7. It did a little bit better holding up than MSOS did. It's a bit of a sharper pullback on MSOS, but MSOS never caught a bid, so without that catching a bid, obviously we're not going to catch one either.
Coming in.
But the market's starting to come right in here. Let's go back to Adara so we can get into the market pullback.
Yeah, actually, good timing on that as well, because I decided with this day where we have clearly a lot of names and sectors to the upside, it might be fun to look at some of these S&P 500 names that made sharp moves to the downside. They actually all ended up being earnings names today, but let's get into them. One of them here, McKesson, this one down more than 12%, despite actually a pretty decent earnings report across the board. They missed on sales, but they beat here in earnings per share. Their guidance was stronger than expectations, and they announced a $4 billion increase to their share repurchase program. Some mixed analyst reactions, a couple price target decreases, but Barclays raising the price target for MCK after those earnings. We have Monster Beverage clearly feeling the effects of that move down with this most recent 3-minute candle, but MNST down more than 10%. They did miss across the board here for sales and earnings per share. And last but not least, we have Warner Brothers Discovery, really recovering decently here, but still down about 9%. Much larger loss per share than expected. This was due to a $9.1 billion write-down due to some costs with regards to their streaming. They also missed on sales. So WBD sharply to the downside, and what's been a pretty strong day for a lot of these non-earnings names, guys.
Yeah.
See that 62, 162 on Alphabet, consolidation low there. So I'm just looking at Alphabet there. So if that cracks as well, maybe we get a little bit more downside on the markets. Again, kind of just like to look at some of these constituents. Apple pressing below VWAP as well. We are already in the spider here as it kind of makes some legs lower there. This was the high before that we bounced off of quite aggressively from 529s into 530 halves. I held that from 530 and some change all the way down to 529s, and I'm like, all right, it's time to go. And comes back in, stops me out, and then I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to try this again because you know what? We've said this before, and you've said it many times as well. What's the probability of you getting it right the first time? Probably not very high. Some trades take, sure, some of the best ones work right away, but some of them take a couple of tries for it to really come in.
The way I would say it is, what is the probability that you get it perfectly? Like the manner in which a stock is going to go from point A to point B is literally unlimited. There's just a million ways that it can happen. Some of them are going to be adjacent to each other, but the odds are that if, I'm just going to make an example because I took Palantir here. I was looking for something that was at a key level breaking down, Palantir 29, so very similar to a lot of the other things that I'm trying here. Like, is it a reversion trade? Yes. Is it a strong stock? Yes. But it just starts losing this support level and consolidates under it. So what are the chances that it goes from here to here in a complete straight line without ever breaking 29.03, which is this local high? Which is what I'm trying to do. I don't know, like that would be perfect if it did that. But it could break this, kind of hang out in here, come back down, retest, go back up, retest, go down here, come back up, and then flush. Or there's or a million versions of that. That's all I'm getting at. So yeah, I could stop out at 03 or just above that level here and still want that trade again because we do have some time. Now we have 15 minutes till the imbalances come. I can show you the early looks. Not much of anything crazy. TAL, PCG, and KO, LUV are all over a million. They don't matter that much. Smaller stocks, not going to move the needle. And then Ford at under a million shares. We'll keep our eye out to see if some imbalances come in. You'll probably remember the last few days, we've been seeing gigantic Nvidia sell imbalances.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen 3 million to 5 million very frequently. So no matter what, going into 350, every day I'm just going to have an Nvidia level 2 up. And on the off chance that I'm actually fast enough one of these times, we did catch, Sean and I caught it once. It's happening a lot, but there was like one time that we actually got the trade on an imbalance, and it was good. Like, it was an immediate 50-cent scalp. The Algos got the first half of it. We were able to get the second half of it, and it was good. But you have to be on that level too, so that if it happens, you're just almost ready to punch it right away. So that would be the idea. So Intel and now Palantir looking for a reversion trade. Just things that can catch up that haven't already gone.
Softy coming into that.
As the market's starting to come down. Microsoft as well. Microsoft into $400 day low. Remember, Delta coming for their pound of flesh from Microsoft and CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike holding VWAP on look at CrowdStrike's holding VWAP on an absolute dime here. If this loses,
Spider is 527.
I mean, if this breaks, you still got time. Like, if this were to break down, that would look pretty solid. I like CrowdStrike. But I mean, the fact that it's holding, Microsoft wants these lows, the market's trying to roll over. This could be another spicy one. If it doesn't break, it's at support. And as long as support is there, the short's not going to do anything here on CrowdStrike.
Okay, all right. So I guess that, again, when I was looking at that bid came in a little bit different at 528 halves. Softy, again, coming back into that 400. I do want to stay a little, still stay a little wary of that bid potentially coming back in, and we're looking at that at Alphabet. Alphabet breaks. So here, let me pull up the chart so you guys know what I'm talking about. And I'm just again, I like to use the constituents as indicators. Now this could continue down to 527s, but again, I get a little spooked with certain price action. I do have to get better with that. But take a look at this. Google right here. So this little dip down into these levels right here, 162s, you come in, you look like you're gonna break, and I'm like, oh boy, we're gonna break. I take more of the spider there because I'm like, Softy's already broken. If Google's gonna break, maybe we see a little bit more flush down. We kind of lick that 162, push right back in, and then 162.20s testing right now. So if we're gonna take a little bit of a break and stop around here, yeah, exactly. My average, because I added into this, I was 529 halves, and I was like, I'm gonna give it back to 529 back through because that's that wick low. But then if Google does that, I'm just like, okay, well, I don't want to wait till 529 because if Google is doing this and Softy is picking back up off the 400 and some of these other tickers are not really getting anywhere, I'm just like, all right, well, in my mind, I'm just like, okay, probability of 529, what do you think it is? If it's higher, just get out right now, maybe reassess a little bit later. Again, with only about 20 minutes until the bell, we do have to kind of stay a little bit nimble in the last half hour. Kind of similar to that initial opening hour there. The last hour comes in with a little bit of volume, with a little bit of increased volume. So that volume may come in with a little bit of volatility. Look at that Softy wick right back up. So that 15-minute candle low on the Softy I have here at 427. We talked about that low off of the open being 399.99 exactly to the penny. Nice little hold of pre-market consolidation, and then Softy can't even get to that 400. Bids up, can't even print that quarter above the 400, and then that 15-minute candle wicks up back through 401, so that's perfectly fine. I will piece off of that. That was a quick little point on the spider there, and yep. So next trade, what is the next trade? I have no idea. Adrian saying, Obi, you must wait for a bounce and then short it, not short it as its bottom on Goog. Yeah, no, I do understand that, but I was already short and I added to that position on the Google breakdown. But yes, when it does bounce, I do want to reassess and get out. And yeah, kind of I like to shorting into pops and buying into dips. I like that a little bit better. And look at that, it's right back up 529. 50s, and I would be stopped. I probably would have held it to 530s, to be honest, giving it 50 pennies. But the thing is, the chart here was a little bit distinctly different, where again, we talk about using support and resistances, a little bit of intraday resistance at that 529 that turned. It shows you that it turned into support when it flushes in off the highs, 531s. If you look at prior day on the spider, we pulled back off of prior day's highs. So that's why I like the short even more, because we couldn't even get back up. So prior day high, 531.59. Today's high, 531.30. So just shy of 30 pennies we got to on the high of day today. And then we start making a little bit of lower lows and the market starts to turn. Softy cracks back down off of its sideways consolidation range here. Let's pull up Softy as well so you guys know what we're talking about right here. So look at that chop, 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 chop. 405 halves, high of the range, 400s to 401s, low of the range right here, depending on how you want to measure it. A little bit of a base here at 402 halves so that I can kind of potentially see confluencing with some of these dips and pre-market consolidation as well. But yeah, no, 402s, yeah, coming right back in aggressive.
What a bounce.
Back to 530. So what a bounce off of, and again, 18.4. There's a lot of things. A lot of people like to use indicators like lines on the chart. I like to use constituents as indicators sometimes.
Which are fantastic. You'll see me, I just got out of Palantir, which broke that range to the upside. I got to admit, too, because I saw it in the chat and it was a really good point. Someone said, remember what Chris Bretcher said. I have that in the back of my mind when I was talking about the imbalances in 350 and then the big sell imbalances coming in, something that Chris was mentioning in the aftermarket show. Tonight, it'll be myself and Adara doing the aftermarket show. We have some earnings. Obviously, Take Two we're going to have. You can get your bets in on stonks with that. And then SOUN is going to be reporting. But he actually said in that last 10 minutes, when companies can't do those buybacks, you've seen, who would be calling me at this time? That's ridiculous. You've seen some big drops. So sometimes in that last 10 minutes, companies can't buy back. You've seen those flushes. We've seen the sell imbalances. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I want to be looking for that kind of a pull or some kind of a pullback at the end. So sometimes you force fit it here. That doesn't apply to Palantir, I don't think. It might apply loosely to Intel. It certainly applies to the Mag 7 type names. And with only 7 minutes till the imbalances come in, my eyeballs will be on Nvidia, which has found some resistance at 05, which had a 6 million. I think it came out at 5 and then jumped to 7.8 million shares, if memory serves, yesterday. So it started out at 5 million, jumped to like 7.8 million shares, paired off at 355, which did provide you some opportunities with it toward the end of the day. So if you can quickly see here, there goes Intel, made another fresh high, 5-cent move on Intel. That's enough for me to get out. But right here, that's 350. So right at 350, that's the move. Right about $100, and then you see it get, at 4 o'clock, you're looking at like 98.5. So it was a pretty decent move. Obviously, the trend is a little bit different here, but the idea would be the same, is that you had that big move in there because of the imbalances, and if it happens again, I want to take a shot at it. I'm not saying it's going to come out a big, massive 5 million, 7 million sell imbalance, but if it does, then I would look for that snap short, play it to the range, and then move on. I'm going to double check a few other things here with only 5 minutes. AMD right back into those highs, so no curl on AMD. Apple's really churning back into the upside. And then there was Pinterest. We had that Pinterest story. Gives a lot of it back here, although it's still up 2%. Gives a lot of it right back into prior support. So for myself, I like to do this. I don't want to forget to write down, like, what's the level of interest immediately on Pinterest. Now I can see it when I look at the chart, but 29.25, 29.25, 29.25. So I just write down pins 29.25 on my iPad because I can do it in the morning or I can do it now live in front of you guys. And it doesn't mean tomorrow I'm just going to buy pins at 29.25. But I am, and this iPad is sold. I should get a new one. But it doesn't matter. I just want to be prepared for it. Just in case I forget to look at this in the morning, I'll know, hey, there was a clear resistance to support at that particular price. And suddenly, if Pinterest, which has done this the last little bit, obviously it's got room to go to the upside here. If it manages to hold a higher low and we're chilling out with buyers at 29.5, you have 30 as a high from yesterday. That's a lot of room, quarters to the evens. So yeah, that would be a nice little continuation level where I'm not worried about this clear, obvious support at 28.50. If it never gets there, I might be able to play off at 29.25. So tomorrow morning, I'll be on a little bit of Pinterest just for a bit of a look-see. So we have some time to get into NVIDIA, and this is why you get out of here. Let's do this on, why is that chart still Bitcoin? There. Well, I look over on NVIDIA, just a note here, Intel breaks the high, get out. It's too strong today. It's been a short that's worked every single day up until today. Well, outside of right here, off the $20 level. So there was one short that worked, but every other one pretty much no good on INTC. So 3 minutes to go will be till the imbalances. When they come out, I'm going to be looking at NVIDIA just on the chance that we get what we had the last couple of sessions, which has been a big sell imbalance on NVIDIA that you could have scalped multiple times.
Yeah, I'm going to take this MSOS off of my screen and maybe pull up that NVDA for that close right here. So let's see what NVIDIA has in store for us. And I think somebody in the chat was saying, oh, are we going to actually close at high a day? It's looking like that, man. Yesterday, we open up high a day, close at low a day. Today, we open up low a day or make some lows off of the open and push right back up, closing near, well, with only about 13 minutes left, we're poised to close near these highs there. So absolutely crazy. A little bit of a shake and bake reversion over the past couple of days, yesterday and today here. So we shall see what is in store going into the close. Are you watching anything, Neil?
It's got to be NVIDIA. It's just the easiest answer to, like, where's the market? What's the market going to do today? Well, what did it do yesterday? What's the weather going to be like tomorrow? Well, what's the weather like today? What's the stock I want to look at 350? The stock that had the big imbalance yesterday, barring anything else. Of course, SPWR. I mean, SPWR is being deleted, that penny stocks, SunPower. So, like, I'll have that up because I'm expecting it to be a big sell imbalance, which might elicit a bit of a trade. But outside of that, it'll be NVIDIA. And I kind of want to have it on this higher time frame. I mean, I can have it on the 3 minute too, but yeah, you know what, who cares? Let's just go back over to the 3 minute. Let's keep it on here because it's at resistance with only 2 minutes to go, and it would be the one. JJJ, would you short NVDL? I never trade NVDL. For us here at Real Trading, for us, I can just as easily make a trade in either direction right here on Nvidia, the equity, without needing to go to any of the derivative plays. It's just there isn't actually a point. It's not that you can't do it. There just isn't any reason why. Like you could just take more shares of it. It doesn't matter. It's essentially the same thing. I just like to look at the aspect because the chart's going to be. How is the chart going to be any different? I would suppose. Like the argument I would make is, I guess if you were a trainee when you started, you have a smaller shutdown.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're a trainee and you want to limit the amount of, you make a few more trades on it, yes, use NVDL. But once you get past that point, all the same to us. But I can understand, like maybe you have a little less buying power, then go ahead and do it. Like it's the same thing. Just do either one. And I just find I'd rather trade the real thing if you have that option. If you don't and you're just starting out, absolutely by all means trade NVDL. The trainee on the floor is like, I can't really trade $100 stock, and you want to be trading this, then sure, get your reps in on NVDL. Nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, I would say encourage it if that's the space that you're at. But here, it doesn't make a difference for us, so we're just going to trade the real thing.
Yes, sir. About 30 seconds until these imbalances land. No, you're 100% right. I would, on a smaller shutdown, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable trading NVDL, NVDS, especially when NVDA was a $1,000 ticker. Again, pre-split, right? We saw that 1,200 come in. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, exactly. So if your risk appetite is not fitting for higher price stocks, then yeah, those NVDLs, NVDAs, and a lot of these tickers, a lot of the Mag 7s have some of that stuff out there. Oh,
Nvidia's a buy.
All right. Yeah, we got Nvidia's a buy for 2 point. There's your SunPower right there. Sell for $8 million.
Well, it's SSR. You're not going to be able to get you. SunPower's $8 million to sell. Shocker. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I got something there. I got a little bit of a fill. Yeah, that's not going to cut it. Nvidia's a buy, so Ixnay on the no short on Nvidia. I can't believe I just said Ixnay. No short on Nvidia. Nvidia's a buy of 2.5 million shares. I apologize for saying Ixnay. That's ridiculous. I'm a grown man. Starbucks is a buy of 1.2 million. WFC is a sell of 1.3. What else do we have going on here? Nothing really. I mean, Intel is a sell. That's not very big. AVGO Broadcom, 900,000 to the sell side. Marvell, 800,000 to the sell side. What else we got going on? Now 600,000. I mean, you're kind of going down on Marvell. Amazon, I got to really scroll down here to find Amazon at 500,000, and Apple is a buy of 500,000. So the big story would be the one-day Nvidia isn't a sell imbalance. It's a buy of 2.7 million. So obviously not hitting the sell key. I'm not buying something on an imbalance when it's at the high of the day. That doesn't really get me excited about anything. SunPower, I was able to get a partial fill at 22 cents. It's at 21.5, but it was just a partial fill. Yeah, we'll see. I might just throw it into the auction to see what happens on SunPower.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of watching some of this action here on the spiders, on the Nvidia as well, 105. So not really doing too much. Yeah, sure, Nvidia has a bit of a sell imbalance happening right now, 3 million, but we got a couple more minutes until those imbalances coming to a pairing. So I've got to keep eyes on that as well as a few other things. But yeah, take a look at this, man. We drew this trend line on Nvidia a little bit earlier. We were like, all right, yeah, V-shaped recovery, pullback, and bounce. Take a look at that trend, and then on that trend break, it drops down about $1, and now we're revisiting that trend support. From the lower side there, it's acting as a little bit of a chop area as of right now. So let's see what we have in store going into the close. But yeah, a lot of these tickers, man, attempting to close near their highs. So we're getting a bit of a mirroring action of what we saw yesterday, Neil. So.
Yeah, 100%. And Mark L, absolutely. Like, this list can be sorted by anything I want. I can sort it by size. I mean, I could sort it by symbol. There's just a lot of symbols in the market. I find it's more useful to sort it by the size of the imbalance. That's just the way I do it. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I want to see a big imbalance. Nvidia just grew to 3.6 million. Like, if I sort it by alphabetically, like, it's just going to be a mess. So I want to see what are the biggest imbalances if I'm going to use it at all. So Nvidia at 3.6, it just grew 1 million. But look, it's still not going. So here's my cautionary tale for everybody. There's 2 minutes till 3:55. It's a huge buy imbalance on Nvidia. It's a big buy imbalance on Nvidia after the last few days have been sell imbalances. But it's not breaking the high of the day. If it flips at 3:55, it could flush down into 104 here. So this is not a buy it because there's a buy imbalance situation here. It can't seem to press through those highs, unfortunately. Bigfoot, did you buy anything for the long term on Monday? So I did answer this on Monday. I already had bids on Microsoft and that's looking great, and Meta that filled on Monday morning. Mm-hmm. I didn't actually actively go in and buy anything on Monday. I just had bids on the dip that happened to fill. They were good for a couple of months. I just put in, I call them stink bids because they were nowhere near the price at the time, but I did buy some some Meta and some Microsoft, but that was pretty much it for me. And I didn't add anything. We don't really add when we're on the show. Sean and I don't do this, and it's our decision, but we don't make any trades in our personal accounts, in our long-term account. We trade our prop floor account. We don't make any trades in our personal accounts while we're live on the show. Yeah. So before we come on, I might put an order in my personal. That's fine. While we're at lunch and we're not on, we might put something on there as well. But that's about it. I'm not gonna. Sure. And it's just an integrity thing. I don't think it necessarily matters. Who cares if I'm buying and holding Microsoft forever? But it's just we don't do it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Again, something else to note is I kind of stopped trading my personal as actively after kind of joining the floor. I find that sometimes it kind of affects the mental as well a little bit there. If I'm really active on my personal account and then day trading as well. So I just kind of try to separate those as much.
Yeah, separate worlds.
I can. Yeah.
Yeah, left brain, right brain. That's a good way to think about it. Just try to keep it a little bit different. Let's just try to. We got about 5 minutes to go, and I did say you might see a bit of a pairing event here on Nvidia, and lo and behold, see what's not there anymore? No buy on Nvidia. Now, I wasn't telling anybody to go short. I'm not pretending to say, hey, look at Nostradamus. I almost said the thing from the Chappelle show. I really got to check myself sometimes. But yeah, the pairing event happened on Nvidia, was a buy, pairs off, no longer there, you get the drop. Not to 104, because it didn't exactly flip into a sell or anything like that, but still obviously heading to the downside. As I mentioned, SunPower, it's short sell restricted. So when you hit, if you hit the bid, as I hit the bid at 22, when it came out that 9 million sell imbalance, I got a partial fill. I paid for locates this morning, I got partially filled. You get what you get. That's how much it filled me on the uptick. I scalped some of it out. I scalped half of it out. I'm just going to roll the rest into the closing auction for SunPower, which is a 9 million sell. That being said, no matter what happens to this stock, I'm a fool. Ooh. Because we knew it was being deleted, and then this happened to it. And this is where I decided to short it. Who knew?
That's fair, yeah.
Who knew? So there it goes to the downside. Just aftermarket, it's going to be myself and Adara. If you guys have questions, we can always do a Q&A. So a lot of times we'll have a little bit of trader talk. Unfortunately, Danielle Shea is feeling under the weather. We wish her all the best. She's not going to be able to join us on the aftermarket show tonight. So it'll be myself, Adara. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll talk at some trades. We'll talk some earnings. I know we have Take Two, which we're going to be able to make that prediction on. We do have, I believe it's Sound, S-O-U-N, is going to be reporting tonight after the bell. They had a monster day today. 20% going into earnings is SOUN and absolutely flying. Oh my goodness, look at this one on a daily chart.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Obi, that's right, oh boy. Does SOUN have an imbalance? I would say probably not. A lot of these smaller names, it's very rare, and this is what I mean about sorting it alphabetically. It's just a pain in the butt. There's so many symbols out there. But most of these aren't going to have big imbalance. So yes, it has one, but it's very rare for a name like this to have a big imbalance. So currently on the NASDAQ, it's a 2,000 sell. On a stock, it's done 50 million. That's normal. Most of the auction order flow goes into the bigger names, unless something specific is happening, like an index action, right? Like if there's an index action, you might get a little something on a name that nobody else cares about. So, I wasn't saying Nvidia was 100% going to go down there, picky eater. My point was at 355, whatever is happening before 355 on an imbalance, be wary of the reversion because that's the trade. They pair off the buy imbalance and it wasn't going up anymore, and that's what the algos are going to do. When that pairs off, they are going to sell. And if you're long into it at the top and you don't have an 05 stop, that's why we talk about tightening stops up going into 355. If I'm in a tech stock or anything that's falling around with the market or might have an imbalance on it, I am moving my stop very tight to where the stock is trading once 355 hits, just so I have that opportunity there to take my shot, but then not get absolutely blown out. So like I have half of my SunPower left. I've rolled it into the auction. We'll just see where it goes. 22-cent stock. Nothing crazy is going to happen there, but I'll bring you guys in. I'm kind of curious to see what it does, and I'll mosey on up to the desk as well. But with 1 minute to go, Trader Forever might get long SMCI at the close for an overnight hold. Good luck, my friend. Good luck, my friend. Holding VWAP, holding 500. SMCI has held the line of that massive support down around that 480 level. So, you know, I wish you the best with that. I can't pretend that I don't have a support line drawn here on SMCI, but I'm also not taking the trade. I'm leaving that to you. So
yes,
I can go up to the desk. We're locked and loaded.
Yeah.
Again, I have an auction order out. Like, it's going to fill. It's accepted, all that good stuff. And it is. I'm supposed to already be up there. I just realized. So let me get up to the desk.
No worries. Thank you, Neil. So the market's bidding right back up. Take a look at this spider. The spider is pushing up very, very aggressively into the close. 531 incoming right here, and then the NQ and the ES as well. 18.4 was that place of a bounce, and we're getting that strength right into the close. So yeah, definitely. Here we go. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you, Adara. Yeah, we almost missed the bell this time again, but we were close. But yeah, no, thank you guys again. What a great day. Absolute opposite of what we saw yesterday. Yeah, no, sometimes I get a little lost in the sauce staring at the tape, and I'm like looking at the tape, I'm like, oh wait, no, we only got 5 seconds left, oh boy. So it is what it is. The market has closed at an extreme once again. So yesterday we opened day lows, near day lows, closed near day highs. Today, strong jobs number, 830. We rip up, a little bit of a dip happens, and then we rip all day. Well, not really rip. We rip off the open, consolidate, chop up, another leg up, chop up, another leg up, 18.5s, holds, and now we are pushing into the close as well. So absolutely crazy there. So let's see what tomorrow brings, right? We pretty much wiped yesterday's moves. Let's take a look at the spider here before we kind of let you guys go and see what that kind of did. Did we break those prior day highs? Yes, we did right here, going right into the close. So look, talk about a symmetrical move here. Now you see these a little bit more on kind of higher time frames. We showed them on multi-months and multi-years on Meta, on Amazon, on their strong dips that they had. But yeah, this one happens over the course of a couple of days right there. 531s all the way down to 14s, bids right back up. A little bit of a market catalyst as well. Jobs number giving us some of that strength, breaking us above prior days, end of day consolidation highs right there. A little dip into 522s, and we coast right back up towards those highs. So with that, I want to thank you guys for spending your time with us, but don't go anywhere. We're not done just yet. We got Neil and Adara at the big desk for your market recap. Take it easy, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, Obi. We've got the trade desk already out from a spike from $88 to $92, all the way down to 83 to back up to 90 and then back to 86. We're all over the place with trade desk, and then also SOUN. We're going to get the numbers on all these, but SOUN is already moving to the upside. It's starting to go. Oh, it was up on the day. Now you're breaking some fresh highs on SOUN. We have the trade desk already out here. We're expecting Expedia to be out as we speak. They're also out. That was a whoa, Expedia. That was 118 to 125 all the way down to 115. So 3 are out. We've got Trade Desk, Expedia, and SOUN have all reported for very quickly. And Expedia is really reversing that initial move to the upside here, Adara.
Yeah, SoundHound, I'm seeing some comments from the morning, but nothing new yet, so I'm going to wait here for SoundHound. But TDD I can give you guys right now for the trade desk. They beat for revenue $585 million versus estimates of $577.8 million. They also beat for earnings per share, 39 cents adjusted earnings per share versus estimates of 35 cents. Their miss here, though, is going to be pre-tax profit. They reported pre-tax profit of $112.49 million. Analysts were looking for $185.5 million. So that's quite the mix for pre-tax profit. Everything else a beat, though. I'm going to check on EXPE before I go back to SoundHound here. EXPE Expedia, we do have a beat here for Q2 revenue, $3.558 billion. Analysts were looking for $3.534 billion. We beat here as well for Q2 adjusted EBITDA. Earnings per share also a beat, $3.51 versus estimates of $3.06. They beat as well for operating income. I am not seeing any misses here for Expedia across the board. Also, thank you so much to Justin Swearingen for the $10 super chat. Great show, team. Also, big shout out to Kyle Burdett on his call on, I'm guessing he means 526 SPY break. I printed. Shout out to you, Justin Swearingen. There are a plethora of little rockets as well in your message. So happy to hear you printed. Let's take a look at SoundHound. I'm still not seeing those earnings, guys. SoundHound, though, we're expecting at 410 from what I'm seeing, so that's not completely surprising.
Yeah, okay, so we see this sometimes where you get a move after market and it doesn't mean the earnings are out. That's the case with SoundHound. And then the other thing we see from time to time, and I feel like it's now every day, is the initial move is just a bamboozlement or a trap. That's what it looks like on Expedia, where that's very real. It got to $125. Now we're retesting. Now we're testing the lows. So now you're flat on the session on Expedia at $113. And when you look at this was, I don't know, like this is kind of a bellwether kind of name. Like if the outlook's not good for travel, what does that mean for the consumer? Don't necessarily like that. All that said, Expedia is very much in the middle of a consolidation. You guys can see it here on the daily chart. If it's above $110, it ain't all bad. And unless it's breaking $120, it ain't all good. So right now, just diddling at the bottom end of the range. We've got the trade desk, just to give you an idea from the higher time frame. That's up 10% and still going a little bit higher here, so a bit better there. Looks like we have Take Two as well, Adara.
That's quite the revenue beat for Take Two. TTWO revenue of $1.34 billion. Analysts were looking for $1.253 billion. So again, they reported $1.34 billion. Analysts were looking for $1.253. That would be a beat for Take Two. And when it comes to revenue here, also seeing their outlook here for fiscal year 2024 net bookings, they're seeing between $5.55 and $5.65 billion. And they reiterated their net booking outlook here as well. They also saw their quarterly net bookings grow by 1% to $1.22 billion. I am not seeing their EPS here, but I will say their outlook for the next quarter is a lot weaker than analysts were looking for. 1.29 to 1.34 billion. Analysts were looking for revenue of 1.146 billion. So that's much weaker than expected revenue forecast, despite a pretty strong beat for the current quarter revenue, guys.
Why do people just immediately trade these things? I have no idea. Take Two went to $130. It's now at $140. Like it was just chilling out in the aftermarket, 139, down to 130, right back up to 140. The initial move is getting people destroyed, I'm assuming on a daily basis. Now, what's also getting people destroyed is Unity. What did the five fingers say to the face? Slap. And they have definitely slapped that ass on Unity here. Now, that's what it looks like when bad things happen. I don't know what the numbers are yet on Unity, but we're about to find out. It was a Huadong through 14. It tanked all the way to 12.5. That's about a 10% move from where we closed. It's trying to regain some steam. But is anybody surprised? Look at the daily chart. I'm not. How about you?
I'm not surprised. No, I'm not seeing the numbers here for Unity yet. What I'm seeing is this blurb here that apparently they've, quote, strengthened their advertising leadership team. They've added this guy named Jim Payne. I am not seeing the numbers yet, though, other than, I guess, congrats to Jim Payne for joining the Unity team.
Yeah, good for him.
Elf also is supposed to come in at 405, so let's see if we get these numbers here also. I apologize for the speed of my speech. I'm trying to make sure that I enunciate everything, guys, so hopefully there is no delay and everything is spoken accordingly. But we do have Elf coming out here. I'm trying to see if we have any comparison to the estimates on this. Okay, so Q1 sales beating estimates, 324.47 million in Q1 sales, estimates of 304.7 million in sales. They beat exactly by $20 million for Q1 sales for ELF. Let's see what else we have here. Adjusted earnings per share were also a beat for fiscal Q1, $1.10 versus estimates here of 84 cents. I'm seeing their outlook here for adjusted net income for fiscal 2024, $198 to $201 million. I'm not seeing how that compares to estimates. It could be outlook bringing this one down because the numbers are a beat here.
I'm going to strongly suggest that the trigger finger on the aftermarket moves is to the downside on things that rely on the consumer. Because that was a quick trigger finger on Expedia, which eventually recovered it. But ELF down 6.5% now, actually tracking to the 170 level. We're going to have to get Sean's wife to use ELF more. She loves that stock. And it is what it is. You can talk about Ulta, whatever. You can talk about ELF Beauty. I know Ulta. But it's not all doom and gloom. I know it's down. You look at that 1 minute chart and it's actually nasty. But this is still very much holding on to the 200 period moving average and support at 160. We might have SoundHound now out. What are the numbers here?
So they reported, I'm seeing some of the numbers here. They did report Q2 revenue. That's a slight beat, 13.5 million. Analysts were looking for 13.1 million. Their fiscal year revenue outlook here is 80 million. And they also reported apparently 54% growth and record Q2 revenue. And they closed the quarter with over 200 million in cash. So generally, from the way this is presented, seems like they're positive results. I'm going to see if we have any EPS data on SoundHound. But again, they beat on revenue, apparently 54% increase here. And that's actually a record Q2 revenue report for them.
I had a whole thing if this broke $5, but it didn't. I was going to be like, it's going Sound. It's going Tim. Like I was going to do that. But it's not worth it because it just caught a bid at $5. So from tanking on that, and I mean tanking is a loose term, because it's up 25% from previous close, and it went from $5.50 to $5, which was still very much, let's zoom it out a little bit, very much good compared to the day. Like if it didn't lose the $5, now it's, okay, remember, 25% short float. So it doesn't matter what anybody thinks, it's going up and it's got a 25% short float in the moment. So you go out to the daily chart to have a quick look-see. It's not at let's just break the backs of the short sellers yet, but above $6.50, look, I mean, I'm not a prognosticator. You just make a trade. But if it goes over $6.50, I would suggest that some shorts are going to be covering above that price level. I'm going to mark that one off tomorrow. Ideally, sometimes it's a little bit more fun if it can take it over overnight and you can see the price action above that price, just to see if we get some movement here on Sound. 34%, but remember, it was up going into this. Big time mover here on SOUN. I want to double back to Expedia. That's still holding. Okay, Expedia holding out underneath. So it was flushing on the way back in, but it's actually holding a bid here on EXPE here at ERA.
We have Paramount here as well. We know yesterday, they reported this morning, they incurred a $9.1 billion write-down for some of their TV-related properties here. Paramount reporting they had to write down the value of their cable networks by $6 billion. Let's get into this report here. They actually did beat for earnings per share, though it's worth noting they did report this as continuing earnings per share from continuing operations. So their earnings per share from continuing operations for Q2 did beat estimates here, coming in at 54 cents compared to estimates of 12 cents per share. Sales, though, big miss here, $6.813 billion compared to estimates of $7.211 billion. So they missed on sales by almost $500 million there. And again, we did have that write down as well. But they said apparently they're on track to reach, quote, domestic profitability for Paramount Plus in 2025. So that happened.
I mean, it's not going down anymore, so that's a good thing for Paramount. It's not a lot of price action, but, it held on to $10 here. So let's give it the old couple of claps, and I'll do the rudimentary thing where we show a daily chart. and then I can show you there's nothing to be excited about here. I mean, like to each their own, I suppose, but I mean, it held on to the lows. So Paramount held on to the bottoms. Go Paramount. Yay. Something that's actually moving. I have nothing against Paramount. I just feel like, dying business is dying business, and it is what it is at this point. I have nothing against
Paramount Plus. I told you, their rewind and fast forward buttons do not work on the mobile app.
Which is ridiculous.
They're really slow. It takes forever.
You know what's annoying to me? I've been watching a lot of, I'm just going to go random here. I've been watching the Olympics on CBC Gem. So CBC is a Canadian station. You can watch the Olympics for free on their streaming service. Now, on my phone, on my laptop, and on a tablet, I can absolutely rewind. I would go watch the replay of the track, which I have no idea. I can rewind and fast forward, no problems, when I watch the replay. Now, if I'm watching on my smart TV, I can't do that because of the version of my TV. So I'm like, okay, let me just use my Fire Stick to get the CBC app. And guess what? If my Fire Stick was the previous version, I'd be able to fast forward and rewind. But if I was on 5.0 or whatever, I'd be able to use it. But if I'm on 6, I can't. I'm like, what the heck is that? So I got to watch this crap on my, which is fine. I watch it on my laptop or on my phone. It's not that big of a deal. But and please, again, no spoilers in the chat about the track and field. I know there's a big race with an American. Just don't tell me. So Unity stinks. Unity's still going to the downside, holding out a little bit. But I do believe Clean Spark.
Oh, I actually was just going to say, so Clean Spark, shout out to JCB Sports Cards putting this in the chat. I was just looking for Clean Spark when I saw this. Rumor that Clean Spark reported postponed earnings. This actually is true. I confirmed this. Shout out to Benzinga Pro. As of 4:05 p.m., this came out here on the Newswire saying that they announced that they're postponing their fiscal Q3 results. They're, quote, intend to provide the updated time and webcast details in a subsequent release. So we don't know when this has been postponed to, but they have postponed a cool half an hour before the scheduled call time of 4:30 p.m.
Okay, and as you would expect, not a major move in Clean Spark, but you postpone, it's going to go down. I don't think anyone's ever going to read that as positive. It is what it is. So we're still seeing a bit of a move down on Clean Spark. ELF is holding the bottoms. Like we showed you the daily chart for ELF, so that 170. Let me do it this way. Here, let me use the picture-in-picture because that's just so much better. So ELF actually holding on to some support on the dailies. You can see it's had some support just underneath 170. It just bounced at 165, right? So right down in here is exactly where you had a bounce last week. So it's finding some support. Not good so far for any of these names that are like lately related to the consumer. The trigger finger seems to want to short it. It's just it's a big juxtaposition to what we had go on for the overall market today. I feel as if, like, what's up right now? Like, SOUN is the one that wanted to go, but then SOUN's a 25% short float, which is absolutely nuts to the upside. I mean, again, 25% short float, doesn't matter what the numbers are, price action to the upside, but you're getting a little bit of weakness when overall today was a banger of a day. I mean, you had SMH, 6% to the upside. You got the Qs, 3% to the upside. You got the Russell, 2.5% to the upside. XBI 2.9, XLV 2.2. XLE Energy was up a couple of points. Heck, man, even the Dow had a 1.75 for you there. If I talk about the Dow, I'm just going to throw it into fractions. Because they're old.
Yeah,
like me.
like
Gold did pretty good. Remember the story with MSOS there right at the end of the day? Right back holding up some of those highs. I feel no ways about this. I do not forget the first time we had the marijuana run. And it was glorious. And there was there was 1 month on this trading floor when every single trader was trading the weed names.
Really?
Now, it didn't last forever. And if you invested in some of that stuff and held on to it, it really didn't last and it didn't age well. But there was a good month when it was just absolutely printing. And can we have those days again? It's kind of like the meme days. When the weed stocks are going, it's great. And when they're not, please don't touch them because you will get burned. And the Jets ETF was up today. And as usual, when it's an all green board, weed is down. Wheat, not weed. And when it's an all red board, wheat is up. So a good day when it comes to the overall sectors. There is a trend. You look at the Qs on a monthly. We're still in the midst of a pullback there. But overall, I can't really complain about the day that we're seeing here. It's an overall big green day. Great day for a lot of the chip names. I can't say this enough. And, this is where we just a little bit of sector recap there, but we don't actually have Danielle Shea today. She's under the weather. I talked to her. She's doing a little bit better, but she's under the weather. She regrets missing it here today, and she's hoping to be back next week. So we wish her all the best. She's a fantastic guest, especially during earnings season. But if you have any questions for us, go into the chat, and we can do a little Q&A. Yeah. I did want to do two things, however. One was acknowledge Nvidia. I want to talk a little bit about Nvidia. Because, and I said this before, there are days where you can make money but not be happy with your day. And I think Nvidia, and obviously that SunPower, never shorting it at any point till the end of the day, that was an easy low-hanging fruit. But then Nvidia, early on, it was like, we know about the resistance at that 102 from the afternoon show, like right underneath it. So when it dumped, I don't think it was an easy trade to set up. We ran and rallied in the early pre-market off the number. You then were turning around off that 102 level, which was the level that we all wrote down. I mean, OB and I anyways, the two of us. So we were both into the short. But once it bounces off the low at 98, like the way that it did, it's such a big reversal and a V-shaped reversal. You got to have some longs up here. Now, granted, okay, so I liked the long in Tesla, and I liked the long probably a little better in Shopify. And I'm not complaining, but like Shopify was a good long and Tesla was a good long. But I didn't have a single long in Nvidia today. And that was a bit of a missed opportunity. So when you see that kind of a bottom, I think it behooves you to find your way into the long breakout. Like when it does a double bottom like that, and what was such a great short blows out the top and then trends after, you want to join the trend. So I should have added that to the list of things that I was going long in the afternoon. So that's for myself there. Willie Madison, super chat. Thank you very much. Sorry, Willis. My bad, Willis. Bail me out. Unity, $15 calls. Winning on TTD, 90 calls. Well, congratulations on the TTD. I can tell you this much. I don't know how to bail you. Whoa, wait. Hey, hold on a second. It ain't over yet, Willis. It ain't over yet because Unity is right back up to 14. Hey, I don't know. You didn't say anything about. I don't know when those expire, but you just bounced off 1260 after those earnings. There's 11% short float, and we're potentially reversing the move. So there's always a chance. I mean, I don't like the daily chart at all for Unity, but there's always a chance. So appreciate that super chat in there. As well. But yeah, Unity catching a bit of a bid. It's back to green for now on Unity. Nice. Yeah, good luck out there for sure. Finch Jane, Neil, thank you for blessing on my TSLE and SOXL and NVDX and NVDX. And all we ever try to do here on Trader TV Live is walk you through our process. And we've all been trading different amounts of times and have different strategies, walk you through our process every day, show you what's moving, what works and what doesn't for us, and what we think of things. That's it. And if you get something out of it, fantastic. And when you have some success, what I would say is we've got a great community. So be engaged in the chat, hit the like and subscribe so that you can be a part of that community, and then pay it forward. Because when you learn something, what I want to see everybody do is don't hesitate to share your ideas and thoughts when someone posts an idea in the chat. I know we're going to give ours when we have an opportunity to. We have a lot of great people in the chat who don't mind helping each other out, and that's what it's all about. Trading is hard enough when you're by yourself sitting in front of a computer, so why can't we share from each other if we can? Finch Jane says they're a winner. I've seen a few people talking about stuff that happens in the Olympics. Thank you guys for not spoiling the track, but I've seen some other things out there. But if we have any questions for us, let me know. But my question to you, Adara, is how did you get the stones? I saw what happened. I saw what happened on that trade in Eli Lilly. Yeah. Now, you got into Eli Lilly right in the moment that it did a 3-point drop. Yes, I did. Which for a lot of early traders, on an $800 stock, there's no chance they're touching that stock again. Yeah. Came right back in, and then you took, how big was I took like 2.5 points on it. I could have waited for longer, but yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it if I may. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about that. That's all right. I appreciate that. Stones. I shouldn't bang the table. Thank you. No, I think what I realized really was I traded a lot of Eli Lilly
in the sim, right? And I traded it in the sim, and there was, I think, kind of understandably, there was a lot of, confusion in the chat a bit. I think just like, why are you trading the stock in the sim that you almost couldn't possibly trade live? But I still traded in the sim because I wanted to be able to try a bit of everything. Now we get this moment here in Eli Lilly earnings. Now I was looking at Novo Nordisk yesterday. We had that one moving yesterday for its own earnings, so I knew this space was going to be kind of hot. We come in, and I was talking to you and Obi this morning, and I really liked that 867 level initially. It was really interesting on the book, and it actually was a little bit support resistance flip. Then it drops like crazy. We saw what happened to Lilly. So I was like, okay, I'm probably not trading this. Not going to be any levels on it. It's fine, right? Then 850 actually gets a bit interesting, a little bit of chop and churn there, and it cracks below. And then we get 837s, which was the level I ended up taking a lot of my trades around and basing them around here. And that 837s level is just here. It's the base of that kind of drop here before we get a little bit lower. And then once we curled back up into that, that was when I started looking for the long. My first long entry point was not great. Got long here about 836.50s. We were a little bit in the money, and I shouldn't have gotten long before the auction. I kind of knew that, but I was like, oh, it's trading so well. It's your earnings. Nah. So it dropped, went against me. To be clear, I had a small position. I managed it appropriately. So I was like, you know what, Adara, brush the dirt off your shoulders. Keep going. If something else sets up, don't ignore it. So I'm doing the lesson of the day. I'm trying to get filled in Crowdstrike while the lesson's up. That thing ran, so that didn't happen. So I said, okay, I have some ability if I still want to look at Lilly. I have some ability to get involved if I want to. And I saw the book. We're coming back, and we're holding that level again. And I said, Adair, if we get that pop up, and we have higher lows, I check on multi-time frames, looks even better than it did the first time I tried to get involved. So I get involved, better entry price. I get involved just above, I think it was 835.60. So about $1 better than my first entry point. I was looking for 830, I was looking for 840s. I didn't end up getting out at 840s, and I think I just got a little bit spooked by some of the book action because we get to 838s and we wipe back down to my entry price. We didn't get lower though, so I could have stayed. Anyways, got out at 838s. I was tempted to add back in when we got back to 837s because I've never seen a Lilly book move like that. Like we were moving, like we'd be like 837s on the bid, 837.02s, 837.03s. The movement is so common. Usually Lilly, we get gaps up and down in the book. Yep. I should have known better. I was so tempted to get long, and I was like, wait for more confirmation. I didn't. Anyways, I'm really happy I took that. I had the confidence to get back in and take the next trade, and I realized that's what confidence is. It's not going in blindly. It's trusting yourself and your levels. Maybe you don't get the first try, and I appreciate you and Obi were talking about this last week and earlier this week as well. Sometimes you don't get your first hit, but if the opportunity presents itself again, come back in. Thank you for letting me wax poetic about that trade because I learned a lot from it. And
that's someone who's starting their trading journey, trading one of the more volatile and more expensive stocks out there, taking a hit, coming right back when it sets up, and if you have a plan of action, just execute it. Cold-blooded is what I like to call it. There's a couple of questions I want to get to. I see Rohit in the chat. Neil, Palantir looking positive 30 next week. Look, I don't know if Palantir is going to break 30. I don't know that. If I did know, I'd already be, okay, like, whatever. I can have a little piece in it in my long-term account because Sean keeps talking about it, so I have some of my TFSA, literally just for that reason. But this is a weekly chart of Palantir. What I do know is if Palantir breaks 30, I'm going to be in the trade win, lose, or draw. And if it doesn't work the first time and breaks 30 a second time, I'm going to be in that trade as well. Because when I see this, and I can draw trend lines, who cares about the darn trend lines when you can see the obvious level that 30 is for resistance and what's above top. So if it breaks 30, yes, I like it, but it's an if. You don't know if it's going to happen. You just know as a trader, that's the kind of flat top you want to be involved in. There was another question in here. Sebastian, hey, what up, Sebastian? Thank you for all the kind words. I know you see some really nice things in the chat, and I really appreciate that. And we don't always thank you guys enough for that. Holiday, where are you planning to go and what to do? So, okay, first off, I've basically missed every single, we do camping in my family and ever since the Achilles. My wife and daughter, I want to make sure they still have fun, so they've been doing the summer stuff without me. Thankfully, our big trip is going to Rome in November, and it's a mere fluke that we're going in November and not earlier. It just happened that way, and I should be recovered enough to at least go to Rome in November. So that's the big trip that we're doing. Any travel plans?
I'm not really a traveler. I find when I have holidays or weekends, I just sleep the whole time because I am a naturally more tired person. So this is probably not like the best choice, but I usually just choose to keep going, keep it going. Yeah, I just think it's because the amount I will be tired after I sleep is not worth the price of admission. Also, we have a super chat from Ian Rispetto. $1.99 super chat. Does TSM report monthly numbers tomorrow? I'm looking into this. I'm on their financial calendar on their website right now, guys. Let's take a look. Oh, it only has their, okay, yes. So TSM monthly sales for July 2024 coming out August 9th, 2024. That is going to be out tomorrow there. I'll put the link in here as well if people want to see that TSM financial calendar from their website. So happy I could help, and thank you very much for your super chat, Ian Rispetto.
Thank you so much. And Odyssey Fights, I did not attend Caribbean Festival in Toronto. I used to go to the parade every single year when I was younger. And then I don't remember exactly when it turned, like, maybe it's something about getting old. I have a cousin who does a really big house party, and he's been doing it for years. I still call it Caravana Weekend here in Toronto. It's essentially that and TIFF are the biggest things, in my opinion, that happen in Toronto, and then maybe the Pride is big as well. But yeah, so it's usually something along those lines. When I was younger, I was at the parade every single year, and when I was in my 20s, let's just say, when Carnival would happen, when Caravana would hit, you're doing the parade during the day, you're doing the club in the evening, and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, not anymore. Lorenzo says, Neil, I'm waiting for you in Italy. I'll be in Rome with my family for a week in November, in the middle of November. So Sean was actually able to meet up. So Sean's in London right now, and he's coming back next week, and he was able to meet up with one of our viewers, Adam DeLuz. So he's going to post some pictures. He already posted on Instagram some pictures. You can check out his Instagram to find those pictures. But he already got to meet up with one of our viewers. I have no problem doing that. It's just, maybe DM me, but also Lorenzo, DM me if you can closer to the trip in November as well. And if it's at all possible, I'd love to meet up with any of our viewers. Everyone's so really cool and gracious with us here. What else we got going on here? RB Sniper says, you're from Belgium, you have the best beers. I'll try a beer anywhere. I am a try anything kind of person. If you don't try something, you don't know if you like it or not. And if I don't like something, I have no hesitation telling you I don't like it. I don't like pineapple on pizza, I'm not going to do it. But I've tried it.
I love pineapple.
Okay, so for a second here, we're not going to talk to you, Adara. That's fine. I just need a moment to compose myself because you've always been in my good books. You've done nothing but absolutely amaze me with your talent.
Thank you.
And then all of a sudden, I have to find out about you that you like pineapple on pizza. So just let me have a moment to myself because you're no longer as perfect as you used to be. Really? Yeah, oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. Pineapple on pizza is okay. Just before we get into roll call, I can't believe Adara, you were always so perfect. So anyways, Sebastian, we have pineapple on pizza as well. Okay, let's stop with that. Before we go into roll call, let's just try to go back into a couple of things here. I wanted to go back over to, say, Expedia, still hovering around those lows after earnings, not looking great for them, but they did catch a bid off of support on the daily. You've got Sound, which is pulling right back into 535. Not bad. It was doing a lot better, now pulling back in the aftermarket. Big day for them today. Still up 25% on the session, but overall not that great in the aftermarket after the earnings release. We also had Unity here. Hey, it's still holding. It's trying to hold on to that 14. It was really nasty, down at $12.50, down about 10%. Now it's trading flat relative to where we opened today. So that's not all bad. And then Elf Beauty, that caught a nice bid right back into flat, so up to 181. This was down in the 160s. 10% bounce for ELF, right at support on the daily. So if you happen to be trading these things, if you're ever catching a falling knife, zoom out. Usually you'll find good levels on good stocks. But with that, it is 4:30 already. Adara, she might like pineapple on pizza, which nobody's perfect, but she also delivers the best roll call in all of YouTube, which is our thing here at Trader TV Live. So get your name in the chat there for sure, so you can get the roll call done by the best in the business.
Thank you so much. Also, before we do this roll call, thank you very much, Shanil, for the very kind words. I do appreciate it. I know they were like sandwiched with the pineapple pizza thing, but seriously, thank you for the compliment. I'm so happy to be here every single day with this awesome community. Shout out to you, Bears vs. Bulls, for everything you do. Shout out to you, Fabian, as well, and Ramin, who is not here, but shout out to her. Shout out to Fabian, killing it every single day, alone on the desk there. Shout out to you guys. You know, I do naturally talk very fast, so it's a good use for my speed. Let's get going. Guillermo Sanchez, TH, Bears vs. Bulls. Shout out to Get Arise. We got Rich Naples. We got William Knight, Neil Roberts in the chat, RB Sniper, Ricky Peters, Leonel Martinez. We got Tim. We got Michael Spatafora. We have Neo Roberts as well. Michelle Muir. We got Michael P. We have Lorenzo. We got Nicole. We got Giovanni, Paradox, Robert Liu, Val, Ack, Pineapple Undies, the Philanthropist, Baker. We got Neil, another Neil, so many Neils. We got Nicole again. We've got Finch, Jane, Shara, Mr. IN, 4XAU, CD Roofing, Steve, Marie, Freddie, the Friendly Guy 2.0, Sister Girl from Another World. We got Prestige Portfolio, BGZ, Laszlo, Giovanni again, Tim again, Paradox, the Piper, Smooth TJ, Lasmel, Adam Khalifa, Hans Beer, Sod. We've got PJ, we've got Lopez Pop, we've got Paradox again, Michael P, Spark Shop, Josh. So many people here today. I cannot say all these names forever, but shout out to everybody here. 420 Bud Monster, I got to do that because we had that big pop in weed names. I'm sure you were pleased as punch, and I'm pleased as punch to be here with all of you guys. Thank you so much for putting your names in the chat, participating in this roll call. I have a lot of fun doing it.
So yesterday when I showed my daughter, like I said, I showed her card and then I showed her the clip of it, and then she saw you do the roll call. She was like, wow, Adara drops bars. She didn't say drops bars, but she was very, very impressed. So just know that you have a fan in my 7-year-old daughter, Adara. And you have a fan in everybody here in the Trader TV family and everybody in the chat. We still have one more day to go. It's been a wild week. You've seen the earnings aftermarket. You've seen the chip names move. You've seen the market absolutely blow the top off here today. What a great day of trading. And you know what's the best thing about it? We get to do it all again tomorrow. So you know what that means. Bright and early, 8:30 in the morning, we will see you here at Trader TV Live. But for now, good night, everybody, and have a good one. What up, Fabian?